At 4:03 in the morning, somebody hit my front door hard enough to knock the little brass barometer crooked. I had been asleep in my chair with the television muttering about a countertop oven. For a few seconds, I thought the sound came from the commercial. Then it came again. 3 flat blows, a pause, and 2 more. The porch light showed me my son through the frosted glass. Nathan stood in freezing rain without a coat. He had on gray dress pants, a white shirt buttoned wrong at the collar, and leather bedroom slippers already dark with water. One hand held the suitcase we used to take on family vacations. The other was raised to knock again. When I opened the door, he looked past me before he looked at me. "Dad, don't call my wife." Those were his first words. Not hello, not can I come in. His suitcase had Caroline's neat handwriting on the old luggage tag. I stepped aside. "You planning to discuss the weather first?" "What?" "Get in here." He dragged the suitcase over the threshold. One wheel caught on the metal strip, and he yanked it so hard the case slammed into my shin. "Sorry, that's all right." He glanced toward the front window. "Can you shut the door?" I was standing there in a t-shirt, flannel pants, and 1 sock. Cold rain blew across my bare foot. That was my next big idea. I closed and locked it. Nathan watched my hand turn the deadbolt. At 41, he was still my son, but he had not looked young in years. He kept his dark hair cut every 3 weeks and wore glasses that seemed designed for a face more serious than his. Even at family dinners, his shirts had that crisp folded line down the sleeves. Now, his hair was wet against his forehead, and there was a reddish mark beside his mouth, as though he had been chewing the inside of his cheek. I touched his shoulder. He flinched. I let my hand drop. "Are you hurt?" "No." "Did you hit something?" "No." "Did something hit you?" He stared at me. "All right," I said. "Kitchen." "Dad." Kitchen still where it was. He followed me through the living room, leaving twin trails from his slippers. The suitcase rolled badly behind him, wobbling like a grocery cart with a grudge. I turned on the light over the stove instead of the ceiling fixture, because nobody deserves that much brightness at 4 in the morning. My house is narrow enough that if you burn toast in the kitchen, the couch knows about it. Caroline once called it cozy, which is what people say when small would sound insulting. Nathan had grown up there with his sister, Claire. He had done homework at the scarred maple table and measured the south wall for his first drafting assignment. These days, whenever he visited, he stood in doorways as if evaluating what he would remove. He sat at the table without being asked. I filled the kettle. "You want coffee?" "No." "Tea?" "No." "Bourbon?" His eyes lifted. "That was a test," I said. "You passed. I'm not drunk. I didn't say you were. You were thinking it. At my age, I'm happy when I'm thinking anything." Usually Nathan gave me half a smile when I said something like that. This time he looked toward the black kitchen window. His reflection hovered there, pale and incomplete. I put a dish towel on the floor near his feet. "Take those slippers off. They're fine. They're making a lake." He bent and removed them. No socks. His feet were white with cold. I got a clean towel from the drawer and handed it to him. "What happened to your coat?" "I left it." "At home?" He rubbed one foot with the towel. "Can we not do this right now? We can sit here in silence if you prefer. I've had practice." That earned me a look. It was small but familiar, Nathan deciding whether I had accidentally said something intelligent. The kettle began its low rumble. I took down 2 mugs even though he had said no. One was from a tire shop that closed in 1998. The other said, "World's okayest dad." Claire gave me that one after I forgot to pick her up at the airport and blamed traffic in a city I had not reached yet. "You keep that?" Nathan asked. "It remains accurate." I poured hot water over 2 tea bags. Nathan wrapped both hands around the mug when I put it in front of him. "Just tonight," he said. "It's already morning. You know what I mean? I do. I'll figure things out after I sleep. Guest room's made up." His shoulders dropped half an inch. I sat across from him. "Does Caroline know where you are?" "No." "Does she know you left?" He stared into the tea. "Nathan." "I didn't sneak out." "That wasn't my question." "She knows." The refrigerator kicked on. Somewhere in the wall, an old pipe clicked twice. "Did she pack the suitcase?" His fingers tightened around the mug. He looked down at the luggage tag, though I doubted he could read it from where he sat. "Why would you ask that?" "Because you fold shirts like I repair watches." "I can fold a shirt. You can also lie better than this." He pushed back from the table. Tea climbed the sides of his mug. I shouldn't have come. You already came. I can get a hotel. With no shoes and no coat, they're slippers. That defense won't help at the front desk. He stood anyway. The back of his shirt was wrinkled, one tail untucked. Nathan never left a shirt untucked, not even while painting. I remembered him at 17, furious because I had used his good T-square to brace a garage shelf. He had lectured me for 20 minutes about respecting the purpose of an object. Then the shelf collapsed during dinner and took 3 cans of motor oil with it. He had laughed so hard milk came out his nose. I had not heard that laugh in a long time. Sit down, I said. I don't need to be ordered around. Then consider it an invitation with a tone problem. He stayed standing. You don't understand. I haven't claimed to. You're already deciding she did something. I asked about a suitcase. You asked if something hit me. You showed up at 4 in the morning, dressed for a board meeting above the ankles and a nursing home below them. I'm covering possibilities. He looked at the suitcase again. She didn't hit me. All right, don't say it like that. Like what? Like you're waiting for me to tell you the real version. I took the tea bag out of my mug and set it on a spoon. I am. His face hardened. Not much, but enough to bring back the man who had once corrected my pronunciation of bruschetta in front of 8 people. We had a fight. Married people have fights, I remember. His eyes flicked to mine. My divorce was usually treated like an old plumbing problem, unpleasant, settled, and rude to mention during dinner. What was the fight about? I asked. Work. You and Caroline always fight about work? We don't always fight. Good. Stop doing that. Doing what? Agreeing like you don't believe me. I took a drink of tea. It was hot enough to hurt, so I held it in my mouth and waited. Nathan sat down again. We've been under pressure, he said. The Riverside proposal has dragged on, and Paul is useless unless someone physically watches him return emails. Caroline's handling the financing side, but the investors keep changing the scope. I've been working late. She's been working late. I see. No, you don't. It's complicated. There it is. What? Nothing. He knew what. Complicated was a word Nathan and Caroline used when they wanted me to stop asking questions. Their schedules were complicated. Their holidays were complicated. The reason I could not bring my friend Marlene to their anniversary dinner had been complicated, although Caroline explained it in one sentence. We've already finalized the visual balance of the table. Nathan pressed his palms against his eyes. I said, Does Claire know you're here? No. And don't call her either. Anybody else I'm forbidden from calling? This isn't funny. I know. Then why are you making jokes? Because you came into my house scared, and you won't tell me what scared you. He lowered his hands. I'm not scared. The microwave clock changed to 4:19. I nodded toward the old wall phone beside the refrigerator. I had kept it because cell phones have a talent for disappearing exactly when a pipe bursts. You've looked at that phone 7 times, I said. I have not. You have. Why would you still have a landline? Because it gives you something to look at. That almost got the smile again. Instead, his chin trembled once. He turned toward the window so quickly I might have missed it if I had not spent years watching my son hide the softer half of every reaction. I got up, found a pair of wool socks in the laundry basket, and placed them beside his mug. They're clean, I said. They don't match. One of them is nearly blue. He picked them up. These are ridiculous. Your feet are ridiculous. He put them on. I took his slippers to the sink and stuffed newspaper inside them. The paper on top was 3 days old. A photograph of Nathan and Caroline looked up at me from the business section, both of them smiling beside a model of a building made from pale wood and glass. I had clipped a second copy and stuck it to my refrigerator with a magnet shaped like a wrench. Nathan saw the paper in my hands. Don't. I'm drying your slippers. Use something else. I pulled the pages out and folded them so the photograph disappeared. All right, I hate that picture. You look successful. I look embalmed. That was the first honest thing he had said. He stared at the refrigerator. His public smile was inches from the grocery list, where I had written eggs, coffee, furnace filters, something green. Take it down, he said. I removed the clipping. The wrench magnet clattered to the floor. Nathan bent to retrieve it, but the suitcase tipped when his knee touched it. It landed flat with a heavy thump. One of the latches sprang open. A white shirt sleeve slipped out. Then a shaving kit. Then a framed photograph wrapped in a gray scarf. Nathan shoved everything back inside so fast, the frame struck the floor. The glass cracked. I recognized the picture before he turned it over. It had been taken in my backyard the summer after he finished graduate school. Nathan stood between me and Evelyn, sunburned and grinning, his arms around both our shoulders. Claire was beside him, holding a paper plate. Caroline had not yet come into our lives. Nathan sat back on his heels, staring at the crack running through his own face. "She packed that?" I asked. He did not answer. Outside, a car slowed on the wet street. Its headlights moved across the kitchen wall. Nathan froze. The car continued past. I heard him breathe out. Then his phone began vibrating on the table. The screen lit the room brighter than it should have. Caroline. Nathan looked at me. Not at the phone, at me. It rang until the screen went dark. A moment later, it started again. "Don't answer," he said. "It's your phone." He seemed surprised, as if he had forgotten. The call stopped. 3 dots appeared beneath her name. A message came through, but Nathan turned the phone face down before I could read it. He rose with the broken photograph in his hand. "I need sleep." I carried the suitcase upstairs while he followed. It was heavier than clothing should have been. In the guest room, he checked the window latch, then the closet, then glanced behind the door. I pretended not to notice. At the threshold, I said, "You're safe here." He sat on the edge of the bed. "I know," but he said it like he was trying to convince both of us. I pulled the door nearly closed. Before it reached the frame, I heard him say my name. "Dad?" "Yeah?" "If Caroline calls you, don't tell her anything." I waited. "Please." "All right," I said. Downstairs, the landline rang. I stood in the dark hallway while it rang a second time, then a third. Nathan's door stayed silent behind me. On the 4th ring, I went down and picked up. "Daniel," Caroline said. Her voice was calm, polished, awake. "I'm sorry to call so early. Is Nathan there?" I looked toward the ceiling. For years, when Caroline asked me a question, I had searched for the answer that would keep me welcome. That morning, for the first time, I searched for the answer that would keep my son safe. "I'm listening," I said. There was a pause long enough for me to hear rain against the kitchen window. "I asked whether Nathan is there," Caroline said. "I heard you. Then why didn't you answer?" I leaned against the wall beside the phone. The wallpaper had started lifting at the seam. I pressed it flat with my thumb. "Because I'm trying to understand why you're calling me at 4:30 in the morning." "Daniel, I am not in the mood for this." That was Caroline's way of saying a conversation had failed inspection. "Neither am I." Another pause, shorter this time. "He left the house, upset," she said. "He isn't answering his phone. His car is gone. And I know he sometimes goes to you when he wants to avoid a difficult conversation. Sometimes was generous. Nathan had come to me exactly twice during his marriage without Caroline. Once to borrow my truck. Once to tell me Caroline thought I should wear a different jacket to their rehearsal dinner. "Did you put his suitcase outside?" I asked. The wallpaper came loose again. "He told you that?" "No." "Then where did you get that idea?" "Call it a father's intuition. Please don't turn this into something theatrical." I looked at the clock. "You called before sunrise. We had an argument." Nathan made a series of dramatic statements, then behaved dramatically. I put some things together because he said he was leaving. That is what adults do when someone announces he intends to leave. Most adults let the person choose his own underwear. "You think this is funny?" "No." I heard her take a breath and release it carefully. Caroline never sighed. Sighing suggested you had lost control of your lungs. "He's overtired," she said. "We both are. The firm is under tremendous pressure. He said things he did not mean." "What things?" "That's between my husband and me." "Then why am I in it?" "Because if he is there, you need to send him home." Need was another word Caroline liked. She never wanted anything. Things simply needed to happen, preferably while she was still speaking. "I don't send 41-year-old men places. You know what I mean. I usually do." Her voice softened. That was worse. "Daniel, I understand that having Nathan turn to you feels good." I stopped touching the wallpaper. "It must be gratifying," she continued, "especially when you haven't seen much of him lately. But whatever he told you, encouraging this will not help him." The rain ticked against the window. Upstairs, a floorboard creaked, then went still. "I haven't encouraged anything. You're protecting him from an uncomfortable conversation. You've always done that. There are insults so inaccurate you can dismiss them, and insults that make you angry because they have found a chair already waiting for them. You don't know what I've always done. I know the stories Nathan tells. I'm sure you know the ones he tells you." Her breath caught, Not much, but I heard it. Is he there? I watched water run down the glass over the sink. In the reflection, the kitchen looked like a room at the bottom of a pond. He's safe, I said. Daniel, that's what you were calling to find out, wasn't it? I was calling to speak to my husband, then call his phone. He won't answer. I can't help you with that. You can put him on. No. The word surprised me. It sounded solid without sounding loud. Caroline went quiet. I could picture her standing in that spotless kitchen of theirs, barefoot on heated stone, one hand around the phone and the other pressed flat on the island. She had once told me the countertop came from a single piece of Italian marble, as if the rest of us had countertops assembled from gravel and hope. Did he ask you to lie for him? She said. I haven't lied. You avoided the question. Maybe I'm being dramatic. She hung up. I kept the receiver against my ear until the dial tone started. Then I returned it to the cradle and found Nathan standing at the bottom of the stairs. He had wrapped the gray scarf around the broken photograph. One end dragged over the step behind him. You answered. It's my phone. I told you not to. You told me not to tell her anything. What did you say? That you were safe. His face changed. So, you told her I'm here. I told her you were safe. She'll know. She already knew. You don't know that. She asked me to send you home. Didn't sound like a woman checking bus stations. He came into the kitchen and put the photograph face down on the table. What else did she say? That you're overtired, that you made dramatic statements, that I'm enjoying this. He looked up. Enjoying what? You needing me? That's insane. I didn't care for it. He studied my face as if there might be a second answer hidden behind the first. Did she tell you what we fought about? She said it was between you and her. It is. Then we agree on something. I picked up his wet slippers and carried them to the heating vent. The newspaper inside had absorbed enough water to soften. Nathan followed me. You can't talk to her again. I can if she calls my house. Then don't answer. I don't hide from ringing appliances. Dad, this is serious. Then tell me what's serious about it. I told you. We had a fight. And she packed your suitcase, put a photograph of my family in it, and sent you into freezing rain without a coat. She didn't send me anywhere. Fine. She offered you luggage. You're making her sound. He stopped. Sound what? Nothing. I pulled the damp paper from one slipper. His photograph with Caroline had become wrinkled around the edges. Half her face was gone, where the ink had bled into the leather. Nathan saw it and turned away. You should sleep, I said. I can't now. Then don't. He picked up his phone. There were 8 missed calls. He scrolled through the messages without opening them. Do you have any shoes in your car? I asked. No. You drove barefoot? I had the slippers. Right. Formal slippers. He slipped the phone into his pocket. I need to think. You're welcome to think here. We've got several chairs. Could you stop? Probably. I mean it. So do I. He gripped the back of the couch. You act like nothing gets to you. That's not true. You make a joke. You fix breakfast. You wait until everyone else calms down. It's the same thing you did when Mom left. The words hit cleanly. Nathan seemed to regret them before I had time to. I walked back into the kitchen and opened the refrigerator. Eggs, half an onion, a bowl covered with foil. Something green had not yet made it into the house. I was asleep when you arrived, I said. Breakfast is still an ambition. Dad, you want eggs? No, I'm making 4. Reject them at your convenience. He sat at the table while I chopped the onion. The knife struck the board harder than it needed to. I had owned that board since Evelyn and I were married. One side was flat. The other had warped from being left in the sink, an argument we had repeated for 11 years until the board outlasted the marriage. Nathan watched me melt butter in the skillet. What did she mean when she said you were enjoying this? He asked. I don't know. You must have said something. I said very little. That's usually enough. I cracked an egg one-handed and dropped shell into the bowl. Nathan got up, took a spoon from the drawer, and fished it out. You're supposed to crack it on a flat surface. I repaired diesel engines for 38 years. I'll risk the egg. You get fewer shell fragments on a flat surface. Caroline teach you that? Everybody knows it. I didn't. He cracked the second egg against the counter. It opened neatly. Well, I said, this changes everything. His mouth twitched, then the phone vibrated in his pocket and the expression vanished. He took it out. What does she want? I asked. She wants me to call. Will you? No. I whisked the eggs. You planning to let the marriage end by battery depletion? I didn't say it was ending. No, you haven't said much of anything. He slapped the phone face down on the table. I told her I wanted to leave the firm. The butter hissed in the skillet. I lowered the bowl without pouring. Your firm? Our firm. You helped start that business. Yes, Dad, I remember. Why leave? Because I don't want to do it anymore. Since when? Does it matter? Might. He rubbed both hands over his face. I want to design things people actually use. People use your buildings. They lease them. Photograph them. Put a restaurant in the lobby where dinner costs $200 and the chairs hurt. Claire took me to a restaurant like that. Plate looked like somebody had already eaten half. This isn't about restaurants, I gathered. He walked to the window. Dawn had begun thinning the black sky to charcoal. Rain glazed the back steps and the aluminum trash cans. There's a project in Dayton, he said. A public rehabilitation center. The existing building is ugly, but it has good bones. They need someone who knows adaptive reuse. Sounds like you. It pays almost nothing. Sounds even more like you. He looked back at me. Caroline says it would make us look unserious. Would it? I don't care. I poured the eggs into the skillet. She said that? I asked. She said more than that. I waited. He picked at a loose thread on the scarf around the photograph. I told her I was tired of designing places where nobody is allowed to look tired. That sounded like Nathan. Not the Nathan from magazines, but the one who had built a bus shelter model at 16 and insisted on adding a bench wide enough for a man to lie down. What did she say? She asked whether I was having some kind of breakdown. And then we fought. The eggs set around the edges. I pushed them inward with the spatula. His phone vibrated again, this time longer. A call. Nathan watched it until it stopped. Maybe you should tell her you're not coming back today, I said. I don't know that. You brought one suitcase. She packed it. You carried it. He stared at me. That's different, he said. Yes, I said. It is. We ate at the maple table while daylight came in gray through the windows. Nathan finished every bite after refusing breakfast. He even scraped onion from the edge of his plate. When he stood, he carried both dishes to the sink. Caroline had trained him to rinse them immediately. Evelyn had spent 20 years trying. You should go upstairs, I said. What are you going to do? My normal Saturday. You're leaving? I promised Frank Delaney I'd look at his snowblower. It's July. That's why Frank finally remembered. Nathan glanced toward the front window. How long? An hour? Maybe 2? What if she comes here? Do you think she will? No. He answered too fast. I wiped my hands on the dish towel. Lock the door after me. Dad. I waited. He looked toward the staircase. The dead phone, the damp slippers by the vent, everywhere but at me. I don't want to be alone when she gets here, he said. I looked at the snowblower parts I had already set beside the basement door. Is she coming? She said she was. You told me she only wanted you to call. That was the last message I opened. How long ago? He checked the phone. 11 minutes. Did she say when? She said, I'm coming to get you. The sentence sat differently when he said it aloud. Not, I'm coming over. Not, we need to talk. I picked up the landline and called Frank. He answered on the 7th ring with the suspicious hello of a man who believed every morning call involved death or money. Frank, I can't come by. You sick? No. Then what? Family matter. He went quiet. Frank was 73, lived alone, and knew more about family matters than most priests. You need anything? Not yet. You still got that Louisville Slugger? I gave it to the church rummage sale. That was short-sighted. I'll keep you posted. I hung up. Nathan was watching me. What? You canceled. That's what the phone call was. You didn't have to. I was under the impression you asked me to. I said I didn't want to be alone. Yes? I didn't ask you to give up your whole day. Frank's snowblower has been broken since the first Bush administration. Another morning won't finish it. He turned toward the window. She'll see my car. She already knows you're here. You keep saying that, because you parked sideways in my driveway. He went to the front room and looked through the blinds. His black sedan sat at an angle with the rear tire inches from my flower bed. He had left the driver's door unlocked. His keys were still in the cup holder. I held them up when I came back inside. You went through my car? I moved it before a delivery truck removed the back half. Did you see anyone? Mrs. Alvarez walking her terrier. The terrier showed no interest. He took the keys. You shouldn't have gone out there. It's my driveway. Caroline could have been waiting. Behind the hydrangeas? He gave me a hard look, and I stopped. Fear has an odor to it. Not sweat exactly. Something metallic, like tools left in rain. I had smelled it on men after accidents in the garage, when they were still insisting they felt fine. Nathan, I said, has she ever hurt you? No. You already answered that. I'm asking again. And I'm answering again. Has she threatened you? No. Then tell me what you think is going to happen when she gets here. He opened his mouth, then closed it. She'll talk? That's what you're afraid of? You don't know how she talks. I almost told him I had met his wife. Instead, I said, try me. She starts with the ending. By the time you understand what the conversation is about, you've already agreed to it. That sounds efficient. Dad, sorry. He sat on the arm of the couch, still in my mismatched socks. She'll be reasonable. She'll make me sound irrational. She'll remind me what's due Monday and who's expecting us tonight. She'll say we can discuss everything later. Then I'll get in the car. You don't have to. You say that like it's easy. I said 7 words. The doorbell rang. Nathan stood so fast his knee struck the coffee table. The remote jumped onto the carpet. I looked through the glass. Caroline stood under a clear umbrella, wearing a belted camel coat and low black heels that had no business on an icy porch. She held Nathan's overcoat folded across one arm. A pair of brown shoes sat on top. She brought your feet, I said. He did not laugh. Caroline rang again, not impatiently. Precisely. Do you want me to open it? I asked. She knows we're here. That isn't an answer. Yes, open it. And then? I don't know. I unlocked the door. Good morning, Daniel, Caroline said. Rain had dotted the shoulders of her coat. Her blonde hair was pulled into a knot, and she wore small pearl earrings. If she had slept at all, she had done it without disturbing her makeup. Caroline. I brought Nathan's things. She held them toward me as if presenting something at a lost and found counter. I took the coat and shoes. The coat was warm. Were these in the dryer? My car has heated seats. Of course it does. Her gaze moved past me. Nathan stood near the fireplace, arms folded. Hello, she said. He did not answer. May I come in? She asked me. I looked at Nathan. He stared at the floor. My porch isn't getting warmer, I said. Caroline closed her umbrella, tapped the water from it twice, and stepped inside. She removed her heels without being asked, and lined them beside the wall. Her stockings made no sound on the hardwood. You moved the table, she said, 3 years ago. It opens the room. That was the dream. She smiled politely. Then she looked at Nathan. You left your coat. I noticed. And your shoes. I had shoes. You had slippers. The same correction I had made, but in her voice it sounded like evidence. I set the things on the couch. Coffee? No, thank you. Tea? No. Bourbon? Nathan shut his eyes. Caroline's smile tightened. I'd like a few minutes alone with my husband, Nathan said. No. She turned to him. No, you don't want to talk, or no, you don't want your father to leave. Both. Nathan, look at yourself. He did. Then he looked at me, as if checking whether I had. Caroline softened her voice. You're wearing mismatched socks. Dad gave them to me, I assumed. I was starting to dislike the amount of meaning people could fit into my socks. He's asked you to leave, I said. No, he said he doesn't want to be alone with me. That wasn't what I heard. She studied me. Daniel, I understand that this is alarming. Nathan and I had a bad night. He is exhausted and he has been struggling for some time. I'm standing right here, Nathan said. I know. Then talk to me. I tried. You drove away. You put my suitcase outside. After you said you were leaving me, I said I was leaving the firm. You said, I can't live like this anymore. That wasn't permission to pack my clothes. You told me to stop making your decisions for you. I took you seriously. Her tone never rose. That was what made Nathan's breathing sound so loud. I sat in my chair. Caroline remained standing. Nathan stayed by the fireplace. It felt less like a family conversation than an interview where nobody had agreed who was hiring. Caroline looked at me. He hasn't been sleeping. Don't, Nathan said. He's missed meetings. 1 meeting, 3, 2 of them were internal. He left a presentation halfway through last week. I was sick. You weren't sick. Nathan's face flushed. Stop. Caroline took one step toward him. He stepped back. She saw it. So did I. Her face changed for the first time. Not anger, something closer to injury. "Are you afraid of me?" she asked. Nathan said nothing. "That is absurd." "Caroline," I said, "no, I would genuinely like to understand. Has he told you he's afraid of me?" "He hasn't told me much. I have never touched him in anger. I have never threatened him. I have spent 15 years holding together a life he wanted just as much as I did." "You spent 15 years telling me what I wanted," Nathan said. "And you spent 15 years thanking me for it. That landed." He looked away. Caroline turned to me, and I understood why Nathan had not wanted to face her alone. It was not because everything she said was false. It was because she kept enough truth sharpened and ready. "Did he tell you about Dayton?" she asked. He mentioned it. "Did he tell you he submitted his name without discussing it with me or his partners?" Nathan said, "It's an inquiry. It is a 6-month commitment, if they select me. You use the firm's portfolio. It's my work. It is our work." The room went still. There was a rhythm between them, rehearsed over years. Caroline set the terms. Nathan resisted just enough to feel separate. She narrowed the question. He retreated. Neither needed me, except both kept glancing in my direction for a verdict. I stood. "I'm going to put on coffee." Caroline blinked. "Daniel, could we please stay focused?" I focus better with coffee. I went into the kitchen. They followed me. Caroline sat at the table. Nathan remained near the doorway. I filled the machine with water while they watched me perform the advanced procedure. "Nathan needs rest," Caroline said. "He has a bed upstairs. At home. He doesn't want to go home. He doesn't know what he wants." Nathan laughed once without humor. "There. That." Caroline rubbed her temple. "I mean, you are overwhelmed. You mean I'm defective until I agree with you. I mean you are behaving unlike yourself. What if this is myself? Then where have you been for 15 years? Nobody answered. The coffee began dripping. Caroline's eyes shone, but no tears fell. "We have dinner with the Barlows tonight. Monday, we meet Riverside. On Tuesday, the photographer is coming to the house. You can't simply disappear because you've decided ordinary responsibility is oppression. I'm not going to dinner. Fine. We'll cancel. I'm not going to Riverside. We can discuss that later. I'm not coming home today." She looked at him for several seconds. "Did your father tell you to say that?" Nathan's eyes moved toward me. That movement hurt more than the question. I poured coffee into my okayest dad mug. "Leave me out of it. You're already in it," Caroline said. "No, you both brought it here, but that doesn't make it mine." Nathan's jaw tightened. "I asked for one night, and you've had it. It's morning. Then stay another night. Stay a week if you need to. But don't use me to answer her." Caroline leaned back, almost satisfied. "Thank you. That wasn't for you." Her expression cooled. Nathan looked betrayed. "You said I was safe here?" "You are." "Then why are you helping her?" "I'm not. You're doing what you always do. You stand in the middle and make sure nobody can accuse you of taking a side." I set the mug down too hard. Coffee jumped over the rim and spotted the table. Caroline watched us both. Nathan saw the spill and grabbed a dish towel. He began wiping in short, angry strokes. "I came here because I thought, for once, you might understand," he said. "I'm trying. No, you're trying to stay comfortable." The room went quiet except for the coffee maker. Caroline stood and slipped her feet into her heels. "I'll give you until this afternoon," she told him. "No," Nathan said. She picked up her umbrella. "Call me when you're ready to talk without an audience." At the door, she turned to me. For 1 second, she looked less polished than tired. "Be careful, Daniel," she said. "He's very good at letting someone else become the reason he made a choice." After she left, Nathan stood at the window until her car disappeared. Then he turned to me. "You were supposed to tell her to go." "I did." "No, you waited until she was done." He threw the wet dish towel into the sink. "I should have gone to a hotel." I looked at the suitcase beside the couch, one latch still open. "Maybe," I said, "but then, who would you blame for letting her in?" Nathan stared at me as if I had struck him. That was cruel. He was right, which made me want to defend it. I picked up my mug and carried it to the sink. "I'm sorry." "No, you're not." "I am." "You always do that. You say something ugly in the same voice you use to ask if anybody wants potatoes, then you apologize before anyone can react." I said, "I'm sorry." "And now I'm supposed to tell you it's fine. I didn't ask you to. He grabbed his suitcase by the handle. The open latch caught on the edge of the couch, spilling the shaving kit again. Damn it. He dropped to one knee and shoved it inside. I bent to help, but he put up a hand. Don't. All right? Stop saying all right. I stood there with my hands hanging uselessly at my sides. What answer are you looking for, Nathan? I'm not looking for an answer. I wanted my father. You've got him. No, I've got a man who thinks none of this is his problem. He snapped the latch closed. What do you want me to do? I asked. Stand on the porch and tell Caroline she's evil? Hide your car behind the garage? Call your partners and say you've been kidnapped? I want you to believe me. You haven't told me anything to believe. His face went red. You saw how she talks to me. I saw how both of you talk. There you go again. She tells you what you think. You tell her she's the reason you can't think. Then both of you look at me. You have no idea what happens in that house. That is exactly what I'm saying. He lifted the suitcase and started toward the stairs. Where are you going? To the guest room, unless that requires a committee. I let him make it halfway. You were afraid when she came to the door. He stopped. I saw that, I said. I believe that. He stood with his back to me. But fear doesn't turn everything you've done into something she did to you. His hand tightened around the suitcase handle. You think I deserve this? No, she does. I'm not Caroline. You sounded just like her. He carried the suitcase upstairs. The guest room door shut, not slammed. Nathan had always been too controlled to slam doors. As a teenager, he would close one gently, then move furniture against it. I stayed in the kitchen and washed 3 mugs, 2 plates, 1 skillet, and a clean spoon that happened to be nearby. When I ran out of dishes, I wiped the counters. Then I wiped the clean counter again. The framed photograph remained on the table inside Caroline's scarf. I unfolded the fabric and examined the cracked glass. The line ran from Nathan's left shoulder through his smile. Claire at the edge of the picture was untouched. I found a flathead screwdriver in the junk drawer and pried the metal tabs from the backing. 1 shard slipped under my thumbnail. Damn. Blood welled along the nail. I put my thumb in my mouth, which was not sound medical practice, but had served me since 1963. The phone rang. I looked toward the ceiling. No movement. It was Claire. I considered not answering. That lasted 2 rings. Morning, I said. Where are you? In my kitchen. I know where your kitchen is. Why aren't you here? I looked at the calendar beside the refrigerator. Saturday had Claire. Shelves written in her block letters. Ah, do not me. I've been at the clinic since 8. I bought the anchors you insisted were inferior, so I'm fully prepared for your lecture. I forgot. You never forget a chance to criticize hardware. I had an unusual morning. Are you sick? No. Is Marlene there? Why would Marlene be here? It's Saturday, you're not dead, and you're standing me up. My options are limited. Marlene and I are friends. You went with her to a jazz festival. I like trumpets. You hate trumpets. One man's allowed to change. Put Marlene on. She isn't here. Claire laughed, then stopped. Dad, what happened? Nothing happened. The guest room floor creaked. Claire heard my pause. She had inherited Evelyn's ability to notice the quiet part of a sentence. Who's there? Nobody? Okay, now I'm worried, because you lie like a golden retriever with a sandwich. I'm not lying. You said nobody, but somebody is clearly there. You couldn't hear anything. I heard you listening. I rubbed my bleeding thumb with the dish towel. Nathan came by. She said nothing. He's having a difficult morning. Of course he is. Claire, what kind of difficult morning requires you to miss the one morning I asked for help? He came unexpectedly. Nathan does everything unexpectedly because then nobody can ask him to plan around them. This isn't that. What is it? I can't tell you. Can't or won't. It's private. Whose? I looked toward the staircase. His. She gave a short laugh. Right. Don't do that. I'm at my clinic staring at 6 boxes of shelves because my brother's privacy matters more than my time. I said I was sorry. You said you forgot. I'm sorry I forgot. Did he ask you not to tell me he was there? No. Did you already tell him about the shelves? No. Then he gets to ruin my morning without even knowing I had one. That isn't fair. No, it's familiar. The sentence made me sit down. Claire had always been direct, but she rarely complained about Nathan. Her usual method was to make a joke sharp enough to cut the subject loose, then change it. I can come now, I said. It's almost 11. I can still hang shelves. I've called Martin. Who's Martin? My receptionist's husband. Does he know how to find a stud? I'm not asking him personal questions. Claire. He owns a level, Dad. We'll survive. I can be there in 20 minutes. I don't want you rushing over because I made you feel guilty. You did make me feel guilty. Yes, but you're not supposed to admit it. It cheapens the technique. I smiled despite myself. Tomorrow, I have plans. Monday, I have a practice to run. You also have walls that need shelves. We'll manage. She was about to hang up. Claire. What? I am sorry. This time she heard something in it. Her voice softened, but only a little. Is Nathan okay? He's safe. That's not what I asked. No, I said. I don't think he is. Another silence. Does Mom know? She asked. No. Does Caroline? She was here. In your house? Yes. What happened? They talked, and you stood between them. I made coffee. That's what I meant. She hung up before I could answer. Upstairs, the guest room door opened. Nathan came down wearing jeans and an old Ohio State sweatshirt he must have found in the closet. It had belonged to me before my stomach, and the shirt developed separate ambitions. On him, it looked almost fashionable. You told Claire. She called. You didn't have to answer. I answer my phone. You seem proud of that. I forgot I'd promised to help at her clinic. Because of me? Because I forgot. His expression said he recognized the trick. You could have gone, he said. You asked me to stay. I didn't know you had plans. You didn't ask. He leaned against the kitchen doorway. Is she mad at me? She's mad at me. She's always mad at me. No. She mostly stopped expecting things from you. He looked down at the sweatshirt and picked at a cracked letter on the chest. That sounds like Claire. You don't know what she sounds like. You haven't called her since Christmas. I texted her on her birthday. You sent flowers. That counts. From an assistant. I chose them. You chose seasonal arrangement from a list. His head came up. Why are we talking about Claire? Because I was supposed to be somewhere. And when you knocked, I forgot the rest of my life. I didn't ask you to. You asked me not to leave. That's not the same thing. No, it isn't. He sat at the table across from the dismantled photograph. You want me to apologize for coming here? I want you to notice. Notice what? The room doesn't stop when you enter it. His mouth hardened. The front door opened. Claire still had a key. She stepped into the house carrying my red metal toolbox in one hand and a paper bag in the other. Her dark hair was pulled into a rough knot, and she wore green clinic scrubs beneath a rain jacket. A spot of something pale marked one knee. You left this in my supply room last week, she called, and Martin owns one of those tiny decorative hammers, so congratulations, you remain? She came into the kitchen and saw Nathan. He stood. Claire's gaze moved over the borrowed sweatshirt, the mismatched socks, the suitcase near the couch, and the frame photograph with its glass removed. Wow, she said. You look terrible. Nathan gave a tired smile. Good to see you, too. She set the toolbox down. What happened? Nothing. Claire looked at me. He's definitely your son. I told you it was private, I said. And I brought you lunch. That's different. She took a foil-wrapped sandwich from the bag and put it on the counter. Then she pulled out a second one, paused, and placed it beside the first. Nathan watched that small decision. Thank you, he said. I didn't know you were here. I know. Claire kept one hand on the paper bag. Caroline came here? Yes, Nathan said. And left without you? Yes. That doesn't sound like her. His face closed. You don't know her. Claire laughed once. I know the woman who uninvited Dad from your birthday because his shoes squeaked. It wasn't because of his shoes. Oh, good. I've been unfair to her. Claire, I said. No, I'd love the official reason. Was he visually inconsistent with the cake? Nathan turned to me. You told her? I told everyone, Claire said. It was the funniest thing that happened all year, unless you count Dad wearing the apology watch to Thanksgiving. Nathan looked at my bare wrist. The watch was upstairs in the top drawer of my dresser. I had taken it off before falling asleep in the chair, though I could not remember the last full day I had gone without it. I didn't know you knew about that, he said to Claire. Dad never told you? Nathan looked at me. I folded the blood-spotted dish towel over my thumb. It didn't seem helpful. Claire's expression changed. Of course it didn't. She picked up her rain jacket from the chair. Where are you going? I asked. Back to work. You just got here. I delivered the toolbox and lunch. One sandwich is tuna, one is turkey. You two can fight over who gets disappointed." Nathan stepped toward her. "Claire, wait." She turned, and something hopeful crossed his face too quickly to hide. Then he said, "Please don't tell Mom." The hope left hers. She pulled on her jacket. "Right," she said. "Everybody protect Nathan's mourning." Claire's hand was already on the doorknob. Nathan said, "That isn't what I meant." She turned. "It's exactly what you meant. I'm asking for a little time. You've had time. I didn't even know there was a problem until I walked in. Because it's between Caroline and me. Then why is Dad trapped in his house pretending he doesn't have anywhere else to be? I didn't trap him. No, you just showed up in slippers and asked him not to leave." Nathan looked at me. "You told her that too?" "I heard you on the phone," Claire said. "He was willing to abandon me before I knew you were here. That's how efficient this family is. I said I'd come to the clinic. After you forgot." "I'm sorry," I said. Claire's mouth tightened. "Would you please stop apologizing long enough for something to change?" Nobody moved. Rainwater dripped from the hem of her jacket onto the floor. Nathan folded his arms. "If you came here to be angry at Dad, leave me out of it. I would love to leave you out of it. Do you know how hard that is around here? What is that supposed to mean? It means you don't have to be in the room to be the most important person in it." Claire. "No, Dad?" he asked. Nathan gave a tired shake of his head. "This is about some shelves. This is not about shelves." "Then what?" She laughed, but there was no humor in it. "You really don't know? I can't read your mind. Caroline can. Maybe ask her." He flinched at the name, and Claire saw it. Her anger shifted, not gone, just forced to share space with concern. "What happened last night?" she asked. Nathan looked toward the floor. "You're wearing Dad's clothes," she said. "Your suitcase looks like it fell out of a moving car, and Caroline came here before breakfast. I'm mad at you, but I'm not stupid. We had a fight. Did she hurt you? No. Did you hurt her? No. Are you in trouble? Not the kind you mean." Claire waited. Nathan did not add anything. She nodded slowly. "Fine. You don't owe me details. But don't ask me to help hide details I'm not allowed to know. I just don't want Mom calling Caroline. Mom hasn't called Caroline voluntarily in 6 years. She might if she thinks something happened. Something did happen." Nathan rubbed the heel of his hand against his chest. "I need one day where I don't have to manage everyone's reaction." Claire looked at him for a long second. "You don't manage our reactions," she said. "You avoid them." He dropped his hand. I stepped between them without meaning to. Not physically. I simply heard myself say, "He's had a rough night." Claire looked at me. There it was, the old lever. I had pulled it so often I no longer felt the handle. "And I've had a rough decade," she said. "That's not fair." "Of course not," Nathan said. "What did I do to you?" It was not defiant. He honestly wanted a list. Claire took off her jacket again and hung it on the peg. That frightened me more than if she had left. When Claire settled in for a fight, she removed anything that might slow her down. "Do you remember the dinner when I became a partner?" she asked. "At the clinic?" "The dinner, Nathan." He glanced at me. 3 years ago," I said. "At Bellini's. I sent flowers." Claire closed her eyes. "You always send flowers. I was out of town. You went to Traverse City with Caroline. It was a business weekend. It was a vineyard. There were clients there. There are clients everywhere when you don't want to come home. That isn't fair. Apparently we're all keeping score." Nathan's voice sharpened. "Caroline planned that weekend 6 months ahead. My dinner was planned 2 months ahead. Dad asked me to change it." Claire looked at me now. I remembered the conversation in pieces. Standing beside the dryer, holding one of Evelyn's old hand towels. Claire saying every partner could only make Friday. Me asking whether Thursday would really be so different. I remembered telling her Nathan could not be in 2 places. I had made it sound like a law of physics instead of a choice. "You told me not to make him choose," she said. Nathan's forehead creased. "He said that? I was trying to keep everyone from fighting." "There wasn't a fight," Claire said. "There was an empty chair." "I came," I said. "Yes, you came. Then you spent half the dinner explaining why Nathan wasn't there so nobody would think badly of him." Nathan looked at me. "You didn't tell me she was upset. She didn't want me to." "I told you exactly how upset I was," Claire said. "You decided telling him would create tension." "That's probably true," I said. She stared at me, surprised. It was not enough to fix anything. It did, however, stop the argument from moving along its usual track. Nathan sat down. I thought it was a casual dinner, because I described it that way after you said you couldn't come. You said, "No big deal." What was I supposed to say? The truth? Claire gave him a look so flat it could have leveled a table. That's rich this morning. His phone vibrated again. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and rejected the call. "Who was it?" I asked. "Paul." Claire snorted. "Answer him. He might be standing near an email." Nathan looked at me. "You told her that?" "She was here 5 minutes," I said. She heard things. "I know who Paul is," Claire said. "You complained about him through an entire Christmas dinner. He's incompetent. He's your partner. He inherited shares from his father. Maybe he sends good flowers." Nathan stood. "This is pointless." "No," Claire said. "This is uncomfortable. You confuse those." He walked into the living room and stopped beside his suitcase. For a moment, I thought he would carry it out. Instead, he put both hands on the handle and leaned over it. Claire's anger loosened when she saw his shoulders. "Nate," she said. Nobody called him Nate anymore. He turned his head. "Are you leaving her?" she asked. "I don't know. Do you want to?" "I don't know." "Do you want to leave the firm?" "Yes." That answer came clean. Claire sat on the arm of the couch. "Does Caroline?" "No. Does she own your half?" "It isn't about ownership." "What is it about?" "She thinks I'm throwing away everything we built." "Are you?" "Maybe." Claire considered that. "Okay." Nathan blinked. "Okay? It's your thing to throw away?" The simplicity of it seemed to unsettle him. "She says I'll regret it." "You might." "She says I'm having some kind of crisis." "You might be." "Whose side are you on?" Claire looked almost sad. "You really do think that's how this works?" Nathan sat opposite her. The suitcase remained between them like a low wall. I brought the sandwiches into the living room because feeding people was the only move I had left that did not feel dishonest. I handed Nathan the turkey and Claire the tuna. "I hate tuna," she said. "Switch." Nathan held out his sandwich. "I hate turkey too." "Then what do you eat?" "Food I select for myself." I unwrapped the tuna and took a bite. Problem solved. Claire reached into the bag and produced a third sandwich. "You had 3?" I asked. "I know you." For a few minutes, we ate without speaking. Nathan took careful bites. Claire dropped crumbs on purpose because Caroline had once criticized her for eating in my living room. I knew that because Claire had told me. I had responded that Caroline probably meant nothing by it. My talent for translation had always moved in one direction. Nathan's phone rang again. "Paul?" "Answer it," Claire said. "He'll keep calling." Nathan stared at the screen. "He'll ask where I am?" "So tell him. I can't, you can. You don't want to." He stood and walked to the kitchen before accepting the call. "Paul, hi." His voice changed. The exhaustion vanished. He sounded smooth, alert, mildly amused. The same voice I had heard in interviews. "No, I'm fine. Little stomach thing. I'll be back Monday." Claire looked at me. Nathan paced near the sink. "Did Caroline ask you to call?" No, she and I are on the same page. I just need a quiet weekend," Claire mouthed. "Same page." I looked down. "Riverside is under control," Nathan continued. "I'm not committing the firm to anything." It was an exploratory conversation. He listened, then laughed. "There's no coup, Paul, I promise. Enjoy your weekend?" He hung up and returned. Claire said, "That was impressive." "What?" "You lied 6 times in under a minute, and nobody even had to pack your suitcase." Nathan's face darkened. "You don't understand how business works." "No. I treat animals. They're terrible at corporate messaging. I can't tell Paul I'm quitting before I know what I'm doing. You told Caroline. That's different. Why? Because she's my wife. And partner. Yes. And the person you might leave. Yes. But Paul needs to believe everything's normal. For now." Claire crumpled her sandwich wrapper. "You know, this isn't all her." Nathan went still. "I didn't say it was. You haven't had to. You arrive looking haunted, Dad cancels his life, and we all arrange ourselves around the idea that Caroline did something. She did." "What?" His mouth opened. Nothing came out. Claire stood and took her jacket from the peg. This time, I did not stop her. At the door, she looked at Nathan. I won't tell Mom today. Thank you. I'm not doing it for you. I'm giving Dad one day to decide whether he wants to keep volunteering as your hiding place. She turned to me. And the shelves are up, she said. Martin found every stud. The door closed behind her. Nathan stared at it. She hates me. No, I said. He gave me a bitter look. You heard her. She remembered your favorite sandwich. His eyes moved to the crumpled turkey wrapper on the table. I carried the trash into the kitchen. When I came back, Nathan was sitting on the floor beside the suitcase with Caroline's scarf in his lap, and the broken photograph resting against his knee. I did want to go to Claire's dinner, he said. I sat in my chair. Then why didn't you? Caroline said the Traverse City weekend mattered. That isn't what I asked. He ran his thumb along the empty frame. There were 12 clients there, he said. Everybody knew my name. And at Bellini's? He looked at the photograph of the four of us in my backyard. At Bellini's, he said quietly, everybody already did. I wanted to tell him that was a good answer, but it wasn't. It was only honest. You should call her, I said. Claire? No, the governor. He put the photograph back in the frame without glass. She doesn't want to hear from me. She came here with your favorite sandwich. She came here to yell at you. She can multitask. He leaned the frame against the suitcase. What am I supposed to say? Start with the dinner. That was 3 years ago. The good news is, she's still mad. He looked at his phone, but did not pick it up. I carried the broken glass to the trash, wrapping it inside 3 sheets of newspaper. Caroline's blurred face ended up on the outside. I turned the bundle over before dropping it in. The phone rang again. Nathan tensed. The sound came from the wall. I answered. Daniel, Marlene said. Are you wearing pants? Currently. Good. The movie starts at 7:15. I closed my eyes. Months earlier, Marlene had discovered that if she asked whether I wanted to do something, I found reasons not to. If she stated the time, I usually appeared. I don't think I can make it. You hate French movies. I don't hate them. You slept through the last one. Everybody was whispering. I assumed they wanted quiet. Behind me, Nathan carried his suitcase upstairs. Marlene waited. Family? What makes you say that? You only sound guilty before noon when it's family. I watched Nathan reach the landing. My son is here. The famous one? I have only one son. You know what I mean. Nathan stopped but did not turn. He's having trouble, I said. Does he need an ambulance? No. A lawyer? No. A priest? Not yet. Then you can still see a movie. He asked me to stay. Marlene went quiet. I expected her to joke. Instead, she said, Did he ask or did you decide? He asked. All right. The words sounded different in her voice. Final, not soothing. I'm sorry, I said. Don't be. I'll ask Linda. Who's Linda? A woman who stays awake during subtitles. Marlene. What? Nothing. That's what I thought. She hung up. Nathan continued upstairs. I stood with the receiver in my hand, wondering when every woman I knew had joined the same committee. By noon, the rain had softened to mist. I went outside and cleared leaves from the storm drain. There were 6 leaves. I cleared them thoroughly. I straightened the garbage cans, checked the oil in my truck, and moved Nathan's car another 4 inches from the flower bed. His driver's seat was pushed farther back than I remembered. A paper coffee cup sat in the holder, empty except for a wooden stirrer. The car smelled like leather, and Caroline's cedar-scented cleaner. I shut the door. When I came inside, Nathan's suitcase lay open on the guest room bed. He had arranged its contents in rows: 5 dress shirts, 2 pairs of trousers, 1 sweater, underwear, shaving kit, charger, dress belt, no jeans, no t-shirts, no medication. Caroline had packed him for a business trip. He stood at the closet wearing my sweatshirt and stared at the clothes. She knew I'd go to you, he said. Probably, she packed the picture, I saw. She hates that picture. Why? She says it makes me look unfinished. I leaned against the doorframe. You had a graduate degree. That isn't what she meant. The photograph sat on the dresser in its empty frame. Without glass, the colors looked softer. Evelyn wore white shorts and a shirt printed with yellow flowers. I wore enough denim to qualify as furniture. Claire held her paper plate crooked and smiled at something outside the picture. Maybe Caroline thought you'd want it, I said. Nathan laughed. You always do that. Do what? Find the explanation where nobody meant harm. I'm considering possibilities. You're sanding the edges off. That picture belonged to you. She put it in your suitcase. She put it face down at the bottom. I had not known that. He lifted one of the shirts. It was pale blue, still on its hanger, folded around tissue paper. This is the shirt I'm supposed to wear Monday, to Riverside, to the partners' meeting. Maybe she expects you back. She expects me to get dressed. He pulled the hanger free and threw it into the closet. The shirt slid halfway off and hung by one sleeve. Nathan immediately picked it up, refolded it, and smoothed the collar. Your mother used to throw things during arguments, I said. He looked at me. Nothing dangerous. Towels, oven mitts, once a cantaloupe. A cantaloupe? It was ripe. We lost a lamp. He almost smiled. What did you do? Cleaned it up. That's not what I asked. I looked at the photograph. I know. His phone lit on the bed. A message from Caroline appeared before the screen dimmed. Dinner canceled. I told them you're ill. Call me. Nathan picked it up. She canceled the Barlows. You said you weren't going. That wasn't her decision. Would you rather she went alone? She could have. Then call her. He turned the phone over. She wants me to thank her. How do you know? Because she fixed it. You told Paul you had a stomach problem. That was different. How? He walked out of the room. I followed him downstairs because apparently that was my Saturday now. He opened the refrigerator, closed it, and opened the pantry. Do you have any actual food? He asked. I fed you twice. You have canned soup that expired last year. It says Best Buy. I'm willing to accept second best. He took out a can of tomato soup and examined the bottom. September. That was a good month. I'm ordering something. With whose phone? He glared at me, then saw I was joking. Do you still eat pizza? No, I live on regret and canned vegetables. He ordered from the place near the hardware store. Caroline's card was saved in the app. He stared at the payment screen before switching to another card. Did you two keep separate money? I asked. We have separate accounts. That wasn't what I asked. He set the phone down. Can we go 10 minutes without you turning everything into a test? I can. We made it almost 4. Nathan sat at the kitchen table with both hands around a glass of water. I stood at the counter slicing an apple we did not need. Why did you leave the presentation? I asked. He looked up. What presentation? The one Caroline mentioned. I felt sick. She said you weren't. She's not a doctor. Neither am I. Then why are we discussing it? The apple knife clicked against the cutting board. Because she said you've been struggling. You said the same thing with different words. I couldn't breathe. I stopped cutting. Nathan rubbed his thumb over a water ring on the table. It was a hotel ballroom. 200 people, maybe more. I'd given the same presentation in Chicago 3 days earlier. I knew every slide. What happened? Nothing happened. That was the problem. I sat across from him. The room got loud, he said. Not actually loud. The air system was running. Somebody dropped a fork near the back, and I could hear my own voice coming through the speakers a half-second after I spoke. Then I looked at the model on stage and thought, I don't care if this gets built. He smiled without humor. I've spent 14 months on it. I've argued about window mullions until 1 in the morning. Suddenly, I couldn't remember why anybody needed another luxury tower with a rooftop fire pit. What did you do? I stopped. In the middle? In the middle of a sentence. What sentence? He thought, this building will redefine the experience of arrival. I pictured him beneath ballroom lights, his giant face on a screen behind him. What happened then? Caroline came up. She made a joke about architects forgetting to eat. Everybody laughed. She finished the presentation. She helped, she saved it. That sounds like help. It is, until you owe her for being the only reason the room didn't see you fail. I pushed the apple slices toward him. He took one. What did she say afterward? That I embarrassed her. And that she couldn't keep covering for me if I was determined to become unreliable. Anything else? He chewed slowly. She asked if I needed a doctor. That seems reasonable. She said it the way you ask whether a dog needs to be put down. I've never asked that. You know what I mean. The doorbell rang. Nathan jerked around. Pizza, I said. He did not move. I paid the driver and brought the box inside. Nathan checked through the blinds after the car left. Over lunch, he ate 3 slices and denied eating the third. Then he went upstairs to shower. His phone stayed on the kitchen table. It buzzed once. I did not touch it. The screen showed Caroline's name, followed by a message. You cannot punish me with silence and call it freedom. I turned away before the screen went dark. At 5, Nathan came down wearing the blue shirt from the suitcase and the brown shoes Caroline had brought. His hair was combed. The borrowed sweatshirt was folded over his arm. "You going somewhere?" I asked. "I don't know." "You look like you do." He laid the sweatshirt across the couch and buttoned one cuff. "She hasn't called again," he said. I noticed. Maybe she's waiting. For what? For me to stop being ridiculous. "Are you?" He looked toward his suitcase. He had brought it downstairs and set it upright by the door. "I can't stay here forever. You've been here 13 hours. I have work Monday. You told me you wanted to leave. I said I wanted to leave the firm. I didn't say I wanted to burn my whole life down. I sat in my chair. Then don't." He waited for more. I picked up the newspaper. "That's it?" he asked. "What else should there be? I thought you'd tell me not to go. I'm not sending you home, and I'm not keeping you here." His jaw tightened. "So you don't care." I lowered the paper. "That trick may work better when Caroline does it." He stared at me. Then he reached for the suitcase. His phone rang on the kitchen table. Neither of us moved until the call ended. A voicemail appeared. Nathan walked over and played it on speaker. Caroline's voice filled my kitchen, composed until the final sentence. "Nathan, I've given you all day. Your silence has already cost us the Barlows, and Paul is asking questions. Come home now. We can fix this privately. But if you choose to turn one bad night into a public disaster, that will be your choice, not mine." The message ended. Nathan stood with one hand on the suitcase. "See?" he said quietly. "She always starts with the ending." I listened to the silence after her voice. "She gave you a choice," I said. Nathan laughed sharply. "Did you hear any choices?" "I heard one. Come home or destroy everything. No, come home or don't. That's not what she said. It may not be what she meant. It's still what you have." He released the suitcase handle. "You make everything sound simple. Simple and easy aren't the same. Please don't start talking like a hardware store calendar." "I don't know what you want from me." He pointed at the phone. "Tell me whether that sounds normal." "No." He looked relieved. "It also sounds scared," I said. The relief disappeared. "Of what?" "Losing you. Losing the firm. Looking foolish." "I don't know." "You're defending her. I'm listening to her. She called me a public disaster. She called this a public disaster. Same thing. You're doing some of her work for her." His eyes narrowed. "You think I'm imagining it?" "No. I think Caroline knows how to put a rope around a sentence and let you pull it tight yourself." He looked at the phone again. "What should I say?" he asked. "To her?" "No, to the pizza." "I don't know, Nathan. You have an opinion about everything else. I have observations. Opinions require confidence. That has never stopped you before." I waited. He picked up the phone and carried it toward the kitchen. "Do you want me to leave?" I asked. "It's your house." That wasn't my question. He hesitated, then shook his head. I stayed in my chair. Caroline answered before the first ring finished. I could hear her voice, but not the words. "I got your message," Nathan said. A pause. "No, I'm not driving. I haven't been drinking." Another pause. "I'm not coming home tonight." His free hand gripped the edge of the counter. "I know what's happening Monday." He listened for a long time. "No, you don't get to do that. You don't get to make every consequence proof that you were right." His voice had changed again, not the polished voice he used with Paul. This one sounded younger and angrier, the voice that used to argue curfew by listing every responsible thing he had ever done since birth. I said, "I'm not coming," Caroline answered. Nathan's eyes closed. "I don't know." More words from the phone. "I don't know, Caroline." He looked at me, then walked into the pantry and pulled the folding door shut. The slats offered privacy in theory. I heard his voice lower. "No, he didn't tell me to leave you." A pause. "Because I haven't decided I'm leaving you." Another pause. "I am not discussing my father." Then louder. "Do not call him that." I looked down at the newspaper without seeing it. The pantry door rattled in its track. Nathan came out with a can of green beans in his hand, apparently collected during battle. "He isn't pathetic," he said. I set the paper aside. Caroline spoke for nearly a minute. Nathan stared at the label on the can. "That isn't fair," she continued. "Yes, he let people walk over him. That doesn't mean his eyes met mine. He turned away. Stop. I'm not doing this. He ended the call and placed the phone on the counter. Then he returned the green beans to the pantry. For a while, neither of us spoke. What did she call me? I asked. It doesn't matter. Pathetic was included. She was angry. I've been called worse by men holding wrenches. Nathan sank into a kitchen chair. She said, "You make weakness comfortable." I considered it. You don't have to think about that. I'm thinking about whether it's embroidered on a pillow somewhere. This is why I didn't want to tell you. Because I'd make a joke? Because you'd act like it didn't hurt. It did. He looked at me. I had not intended to say it so plainly. Once spoken, it felt embarrassing, like finding I had left my zipper down in church. Nathan lowered his eyes. I'm sorry. She isn't entirely wrong. Dad, I made things comfortable for you. That's not weakness. Sometimes it is. You're agreeing with her because she insulted you. I'm agreeing with the part that fits. He leaned back. You know what she said about the suitcase? I waited. She said I told her I couldn't live like that anymore, so she helped me leave. She said if I wanted to make her cruel for taking me literally, that was my problem. What did you say? That she packed the picture to hurt me. What did she say? That it was mine and she thought I'd need to remember who I was pretending to be. That's a lot to fit under 5 shirts. She's efficient. He looked toward the suitcase. You don't have to stay in the blue shirt, I said. He glanced down as if surprised to find himself wearing it. I put it on because I thought I was going back. I know. I'm not. I know. He unbuttoned the cuffs. Can I borrow the sweatshirt again? You'll stretch it. It hangs below my hips. Exactly. I worked years on that shape. He changed upstairs. When he came down, the blue shirt was draped over his arm. He did not put it back in the suitcase. He hung it on the hall tree beside his overcoat. That was how he stayed. We ate leftover pizza at the kitchen table. Nathan complained that I put the slices directly on the oven rack. I told him heat killed history. He found a baking sheet and lined it with foil, then forgot the foil was hot and swore loudly enough to make me laugh. I burned myself. I heard. You're laughing. I raised you better than to grab metal from an oven. You raised me to hold the flashlight wrong while you criticized me. You did hold it wrong. The object was illuminated, the wrong object. For a few minutes, we were not discussing his marriage. It felt less like relief than a room we had accidentally entered and knew we could not afford. After dinner, he carried the suitcase back upstairs, but did not unpack it. I heard him moving around the guest room, opening drawers, closing them. At 10, the house went quiet. I sat alone in the living room. The gray sweatshirt was gone from the couch. His coat remained on the hall tree. His brown shoes stood beside my work boots, expensive leather next to cracked black rubber. My cell phone buzzed. Marlene had sent a message. Movie was terrible. Linda stayed awake out of spite. You owe me popcorn, I typed. Sorry, then I erased it. I typed, family emergency. My son showed up, and I don't know how to help him. I stared at the words until they looked like something another man might send. Finally, I added, Popcorn Tuesday? Her reply came a minute later. Tuesday. And stop apologizing for things I didn't ask you to apologize for. The women's committee remained active. I woke in my chair sometime before dawn. The television screen asked whether I was still watching. I told it that was none of its business and turned it off. A light shone under the kitchen door. Nathan sat at the table in the old sweatshirt, drawing on the back of a grocery store flyer. Several sheets covered the table, lines, arrows, tiny measurements. My pencil sharpener sat beside his elbow. You're using my good pencils, I said. He jumped. Sorry, I'm kidding. You need a different tone for that. I'm 68. This is the tone. He moved a sheet aside so I could sit. I couldn't sleep. What is it? The Dayton building. The page showed a long rectangular space divided by quick lines. He had drawn a central corridor, then crossed it out and moved it closer to a wall. I thought you didn't have the job. I don't. So, this is unpaid worrying, basically. I picked up one drawing. What's this? An interior courtyard. The building barely gets natural light. If we remove part of the roof here, the treatment rooms could face something other than a parking lot. Treatment for what? Physical rehabilitation. People relearning how to move after injuries, surgeries. Long stays for some. You should give them a workshop. He looked at me. A workshop? Nothing fancy. Bench, pegboard, hand tools. Folks get tired of squeezing rubber balls. Let them fix a toaster. Most facilities won't allow patients near tools, then fake tools. He stared at the drawing. A skills lab. I said, workshop. Same thing with insurance. He sketched a square near the courtyard. I made coffee while he drew. Sunlight slowly found the rain on the windows, turning each drop silver. Nathan stopped twice to rub his chest, then seemed to realize I noticed and put his hands flat on the paper. At 7:30, he picked up his phone. I'm going to call Claire. She might be asleep. She's been awake since 5 every day of her life. That was your mother. He found Claire's name and pressed it. She answered with, Who died? No one. Nathan? Yeah. Are you still at Dad's? Yes, and it's 7:30 on Sunday. I'm aware. Are you? He looked at me. I wanted to apologize, he said. Claire was silent. For the partnership dinner, he added. Which part? For not coming. That's the easy part. He shifted in the chair. For letting you say it didn't matter. Another silence. And for sending flowers instead of calling. Those flowers were ugly. I chose seasonal. I know. I should have come. Yes. Caroline said. He stopped himself. Claire noticed. Go ahead. No. I decided the weekend mattered more. She didn't make me. I watched his fingers grip the phone. Claire's voice softened. Thank you. He exhaled. But I'm not forgiving you because you had one bad night and discovered self-awareness. I didn't ask you to. You were hoping, maybe. I'm still angry. I know. And I'm still worried about you. I know. Stop saying you know. He smiled. Dad said the same thing yesterday. That doesn't help your case. They spoke for another 10 minutes. Not warmly exactly. But Claire told him Martin had mounted one shelf backward, and Nathan offered to fix it. She said she would rather store supplies on the floor. He asked about Monday. She said she would consider allowing him inside the building if he brought a levels and no flowers. After they hung up, Nathan sat quietly. That went well, I said. She's still mad. Both things can be true. He gathered his drawings into a pile. You should call Mom. My coffee stopped halfway to my mouth. Why? Because Claire will. She said she wouldn't. She said she wouldn't yesterday. I looked at the wall clock. What would I tell her? The truth. Which truth? That I'm here. That's yours. Nathan slid the grocery flyer toward me. The workshop had become a clean rectangle labeled skills. Then tell her your truth, he said. I thought of the cantaloupe, the broken lamp, and all the messes I had cleaned instead of asking why Evelyn was throwing anything at all. I picked up my phone. Nathan gathered his papers and carried them upstairs, leaving me alone at the table. Evelyn answered on the 5th ring. If this is about Nathan, she said, Claire already called. I closed my eyes. Of course she did. She said you needed to tell me something yourself. I looked at the doorway where my son had disappeared. I do, I said, but it isn't about him. Evelyn did not fill the silence for me. I had spent half our marriage depending on her to do that. I'm sorry, I said. For what? The question was not gentle. It was specific. For making you carry every fight I was afraid to have. Nothing came from her end except the faint sound of a spoon against a cup. I kept going before I could improve the sentence into uselessness. When my mother insulted you, I waited until we were alone to tell you she was wrong. When she criticized your work, your clothes, the way you kept the house, I said she was old-fashioned. When you told me to answer her, I said I didn't want to make things worse. You said she would calm down. She never did. No, and I knew she wouldn't. The coffee machine clicked as its warmer shut off. I could hear Nathan moving upstairs, a soft scrape of furniture. I let you look angry while I stayed reasonable, I said. Then I acted hurt when you were angry at me too. Evelyn gave one quiet laugh. Did Claire write this down for you? No. Therapist? No. Marlene? Why does everyone know about Marlene? Because she wears lipstick and you started ironing shirts. She's a friend? Daniel. Maybe more than a friend. Does she know? We're working through the paperwork. That got a real laugh, brief and surprised. It faded. What happened? Evelyn asked. I told you. Nathan came. I mean to you. I don't know. People don't wake up after 20 years and apologize correctly before breakfast. Apparently I do. No? You clean things. You fix a hinge. You send a birthday card with $5 extra in it. You don't call your ex-wife and name the weapon. I looked at my hands on the table. The cut under my thumbnail had stopped bleeding. He came to me because he knew I wouldn't make him decide anything, I said. And now you recognize the family business. I think so. You think I recognize it. There. No cushion. Evelyn was quiet again. Do you remember Thanksgiving at your mother's? She asked. The year I got promoted? Yes. You don't. I remember the dinner. You remember turkey. I remember she said the firm promoted me because I smiled at the partners. And what did you say? Nothing. You said, Ma, pass the gravy. I closed my eyes. I thought changing the subject would end it. It ended it for you. Yes. I waited in the car afterward because I thought you were coming out to tell her we were leaving. I remember. You stayed and ate pie. I remember. You brought me a piece wrapped in foil. I remember that too. You stood beside the car holding pie like it proved you loved me. The shame was not dramatic. It arrived as an ordinary memory, aluminum foil shining under the porch light. Evelyn in the passenger seat with her coat buttoned, my mother watching through the curtain while I tried to open the locked door. I loved you, I said. I know. I was a coward, yes. The word hurt less than I deserved. I told myself I was keeping the family together, I said. What I was really keeping was my place in it. Everybody could be angry as long as nobody was angry enough to leave me. I left you, you did, and you still acted surprised. I was. That was the insulting part. I nodded, though she could not see me. I'm sorry, I said again. Not because Nathan is here, not because I want anything from you. I should have said it years ago. Evelyn took a breath. I have waited 20 years to hear you use a complete sentence about it. 12. What? We've been divorced 12 years. I started waiting before I left. That silenced me. I don't forgive the whole marriage because you had an honest Sunday, she said. And I'm not interested in helping you feel transformed. I understand. Don't say that. I almost laughed. Claire said the same thing. She got that from me. I know. Daniel, sorry. She let out a breath that might have been amusement. What are you going to do about Nathan? She asked. I'm not sure. Then why is he there? Because he asked. That isn't what I asked. The Mercer family had apparently declared war on indirect answers. He's there because he's frightened, I said, and because I love him. Better. But I'm not going to lie for him. Have you told him that? Not exactly. Then you're still practicing on the wrong woman. The line went quiet. For one worried second, I thought she had hung up. Then she said, Is he safe? Yes. Is Caroline? He says so. Do you believe him? Yes. Do you believe her? I don't know enough. That may be the first sensible thing you've said. I heard a cabinet close on her end. Claire told me Caroline packed his suitcase. Yes. And put that old backyard picture in it. Yes. I always hated that blouse. You look nice. I look like a sofa in a sunroom. You chose it. I was 36. We were all making mistakes. I smiled. Tell Nathan I know he's there, she said. Tell him I'm not calling Caroline. Tell him he can contact me when he has something to say that isn't an instruction. I will. And Daniel? Yes? Don't make this apology Nathan's medicine. It belongs to us. I understand. She waited. It belongs to us, I said. Good. She hung up. I remained at the table until Nathan came downstairs. He had put on my sweatshirt again and carried his Dayton drawings under one arm. His eyes went to the phone. How bad was it? She didn't throw fruit. What? Nothing. He set the drawings down. What did you tell her about me? That you're safe. She already knew the suitcase. Claire. Yes. Did Mom call Caroline? No. She said you can contact her when you have something to say that isn't an instruction. He winced. That sounds like her. She also said she hates the blouse in the picture. He looked at the frame on the dresser and smiled faintly. She's always hated that blouse. I poured the last of the coffee into my mug. It had gone bitter. What did you apologize for? He asked. That's between your mother and me. His eyebrows lifted. You're using boundaries now? I read a pamphlet. Did she accept it? The boundary? The apology. She heard it. That isn't the same thing. No. He sat across from me. Would you go back to your mother if she asked? That isn't happening. Hypothetically, I turned the mug between my hands. No? Why not? Because an apology doesn't rebuild a house. It just admits who knocked down a wall. He considered that. So, what's the point? Not asking her to live under the open roof and call it weather. Nathan looked down at his drawings. I still love Caroline, he said. I know. Don't. Sorry. She isn't always like this. I'm sure she isn't. She can be generous. I've seen it. She paid for Claire's first clinic website. I remember. She didn't even tell Claire. You told me. She stayed with me every night after my knee surgery. She slept in a chair for 4 days. You chose a painful way to test the marriage. She built the firm with me. I know that too. He rubbed the edge of one drawing until the paper curled. It feels disloyal to tell you the bad things. Then don't tell me in order to make me hate her. What other reason is there? So you can hear yourself. He looked toward the hall, where his blue shirt hung beside the overcoat she had brought. She said nobody would want me without her, he said. The sentence came out quietly. I did not move. When? Last night. After I told her I wanted Dayton. What exactly did she say? She said the firm wouldn't follow me, the clients wouldn't follow me. Our friends wouldn't know what to do with me if I wasn't part of us. That's more specific. She said, you keep talking about being yourself as though there's a self in there people are waiting to meet. I set down my mug. Nathan's eyes stayed on the blue shirt. And then I said, I couldn't live like that anymore, he continued. She brought down the suitcase. Did you tell her to stop? No? Did you ask where you were supposed to go? She said, your father will take you. He always does. That was the part he had been carrying, not the suitcase, the prediction. And she was right, he said. Yes. He looked at me surprised. I took you in, I said. That doesn't make everything else she said true. How do I know? You don't. You find out. How? By making one decision she didn't make and I didn't make. He pushed back from the table. There it is. Your answer to everything. I don't have an answer. You just told me to decide. Yes. That's not helpful. It isn't supposed to be helpful. It's supposed to be yours. He walked into the living room, then turned back. What if I decide wrong? You'll have company. He looked at me for several seconds. I need to be at the partners meeting tomorrow. Do you? If I don't go, Caroline will explain for me. Then go. I thought you wanted me to leave the firm. I want you to stop asking what I want. His mouth tightened. Fine, fine. He went upstairs. A door closed gently. I took the old photograph out of its frame and placed it flat on the table. There was dust along one edge where the backing had not sealed. I wiped it with my sleeve. At 11, I drove to the hardware store. I did not ask Nathan whether he wanted to come. I bought glass for the frame, 2 new anchors for Claire's shelves, even though Martin had apparently conquered them, and a small pencil set Nathan did not need. When I returned, his car was gone. The suitcase remained at the bottom of the stairs. So did the blue shirt and Caroline's overcoat. For one terrible minute, I thought he had gone back barefoot in my sweatshirt. Then, I found a note on the kitchen table. Borrowed your truck. My car felt too obvious. Back soon. I read it twice. He had taken my truck without asking and left his keys beside the note as if that made us equal. I called him. He rejected the call. I called again. This time he answered. Wind rushed against the receiver. Where are you? I needed to drive. In my truck. Yes. You could have asked. You were gone. You own a phone. You said to make a decision nobody else made. I meant about your life, not my Ford. I'll bring it back. Where are you? He paused. Dayton. I looked at the drawings spread across the table. That's an hour away. I know. What are you doing there? Looking at the building. Does anybody know you're coming? No. Nathan. I'm not breaking in, Dad. I'm sitting across the street. I press 2 fingers against my forehead. Bring my truck back with the same number of doors. I will. And Nathan. What? You left your suitcase. There was a long pause. I know, he said. Then he ended the call. He returned after 3 with mud on my tires, half a tank of gas, and a calmness that irritated me on sight. You rejected my call, I said. I answered the second one. You took my truck. I left you my car. I don't know how to start your car. It has a button. Cars should not have buttons. He held out my keys. I'm sorry. I took them. Before or after you did it. What? Were you sorry before you stole the truck, or did that develop on the highway? I borrowed it, without permission. You would have said no. Then you knew it wasn't borrowing. His calm slipped. I needed to go somewhere without Caroline seeing my car. You told me there was no surveillance. There isn't. People know my car. Who? People. Did anyone see you? No. Did you talk to anyone? No. Then why did you go? He looked toward the kitchen table where his drawings waited. To see if I cared when it wasn't a picture, he said. And? His face changed, not happiness exactly, but recognition. I cared. I handed his keys back. That's good, I said. You still don't take my truck again. He nodded. And if you're staying here, we need to be clear. His shoulders stiffened. You can sleep upstairs. You can eat my expired soup. You can stay as long as you need to make an honest decision. He waited. But I won't lie to Caroline. I won't lie to Claire, your mother, Paul, or anybody else. I won't call your work, explain your marriage, hide your car, or be the reason you don't answer your phone. So I can stay if I do everything your way. No, you can stay if you stop making me responsible for your way. He looked at the suitcase, still waiting at the stairs. Then he carried it up to the guest room and began, one item at a time, to unpack. The dresser in the guest room still held things nobody had wanted badly enough to throw away. 3 old sweatshirts, a deck of cards missing the 7 of clubs, Evelyn's sewing tin, though nobody in the house had sewn anything since 2009. Nathan opened the top drawer and stared. You could move that, I said. Where? Any location within the building. He took out the sewing tin and set it on the dresser. Then he placed his folded underwear in the drawer, 6 neat squares beside a package of yellowed needles. You're really making yourself at home. You told me to unpack. I didn't expect a display. He gave me a look and continued. The frame photograph stood beside the lamp with its new glass. I had trimmed the replacement badly, so one corner did not sit flush. Nathan ran his finger over it. You cut this yourself? I was supervised by a teenager at the hardware store. You should take it back. It's glass, not a transmission. It's crooked. So are we. He stopped inspecting it. His phone lay on the bed. He picked it up, found Evelyn's number, and looked at me. Are you staying? It's my guest room. I'm calling Mom, I gathered. He waited. Oh! I backed toward the door. Privacy. He closed it after me. I could hear his voice through the wall as I carried the sewing tin into my bedroom. Hi, Mom. Then, after a pause, no, I'm all right. Another pause. I know Claire called. I put the tin in the top drawer beside the watch Nathan had given me. Its silver face caught the light. I shut the drawer harder than necessary and went downstairs. Nathan stayed on the phone for nearly an hour. When he came down, his eyes were swollen around the edges. How is she? I asked. Mom? Yes. He opened the refrigerator. She told me to stop calling my fear confusion. That sounds expensive? What? Like something printed in a book with a sailboat on the cover. She said you apologized. That belongs to us. She said you'd say that. I took out the tomato soup. She knows me. She also said she's not calling Caroline. Good. She wants me to call her again after tomorrow. Will you? I don't know. I pointed the can opener at him. He sighed. Yes. We ate soup and grilled cheese. Nathan found mold on one corner of the bread and tried to discard the whole loaf. I removed the affected slice and made mine from the survivors. You're gonna die from thrift, he said. I'll leave you the remaining bread. He smiled. Before bed, he laid his blue shirt over the back of a kitchen chair and ironed it with the travel iron from his suitcase. Caroline had packed that too. The next morning, he was dressed before I woke. He stood in front of the hall mirror wearing the blue shirt, charcoal trousers, and the overcoat Caroline had brought. His brown shoes shone. He looked exactly like the man from the newspaper, except the public smile was missing. Do I look strange? He asked. You look expensive. I'm serious. So am I. He adjusted his glasses. Do I look unstable? I set my coffee on the entry table. You look like a man checking whether he looks unstable. That's helpful. People don't see the inside from the sidewalk, Nate. He glanced at me. I had not called him that in years. What are you going to say? I asked. I'm leaving the firm. The answer was clear enough to frighten both of us. When? I don't know. There are contracts, staff, projects. I can't walk out today, but you can tell them. Yes. And Caroline? I'll tell her at the meeting. She already knows. She knows I said it in our bedroom. That isn't the same thing. He reached for my truck keys from the bowl. I put my hand over them. No. Dad, your car is in the driveway. People at the office will see it. That is generally how arriving works. He stared at my hand, then took his own keys. Fine, careful. We're overusing that word. At the door, he paused. If this goes badly, it probably will. Could you try being normal for 1 minute? I'd have to train. He waited. If it goes badly, I said, come back and tell me how it went. That's it. That's what I have. He nodded and left. I watched his black sedan pull away. He did not look back at the house. At 9, I carried my toolbox into Claire's clinic. The waiting room smelled like disinfectant, wet fur, and coffee strong enough to remove paint. Somewhere behind a closed door, a large dog objected to modern medicine. Claire stood at the reception desk, reading a chart. Her green scrubs had tiny silver paw prints on the pockets. You're not scheduled, she said. I brought anchors. The shelves are up. Martin installed one backward. How do you know? Nathan told me. She set down the chart. I told him that in confidence. He was sitting in my kitchen. There it is again. Rooms stop having walls when he enters. I lifted the toolbox. Can I fix it? You can look at it. The supply room was narrow and crowded with boxes. 3 white shelves ran along the wall. The middle one had its finished edge facing backward, but it was levels and solid. Martin found the studs, Claire said. So I heard. With a tiny decorative hammer. I may have judged him. You definitely judged him. You had never met him. I opened the toolbox. She leaned against a cabinet while I removed the shelf. Is he going back to Caroline? She asked. I don't know. Does he? Also unknown. You're very informative. He went to the partners' meeting. Why? To tell them he's leaving. Claire straightened. Today? That was the plan. And you let him drive? He's 41. You moved his car Saturday because it was crooked. It was endangering a flower bed. She watched me reposition the bracket. Are you helping him leave his marriage? She asked. No. Are you helping him stay? No. So, what are you doing? I tightened a screw, trying not to decide what help looks like before he asks. That sounds exhausting. It's ruined a perfectly good weekend. She handed me the level. I owe you an apology too, I said. Her hand remained on the tool. For the dinner, I continued. And not only the dinner, Dad. I made Nathan's absence your responsibility. I told you not to make him choose because I knew you'd be the one who gave in. Claire released the level. I called that piece, I said. It was favoritism. She looked toward the door. The dog down the hall had moved from protest to negotiation. You loved him more, she said. No, it felt like it. I was more afraid for him. He was successful. He needed everybody to know it. You never did. So I got punished for being okay. Yes. The word hung between us. Claire looked back at me. Her eyes were wet, but her face had gone still. That's a terrible answer. It's the true one. I don't know what to do with it. You don't have to do anything. I hate when Mom is right. She's enjoying a strong weekend. Claire picked up a box and shifted it to the repaired shelf. I'm not ready to forgive all of it, she said. I know, she pointed at me. Sorry, take your time. That's better. The supply room door opened. Nathan stood there holding a new carpenter's level. He had removed his overcoat. His shirt was wrinkled across the stomach, and one cuff hung open. Claire looked at the level in his hand. No flowers. You said to bring this. I also said I'd consider letting you inside. The receptionist let me through. She thinks you're handsome. She has good judgment. Claire almost smiled. How did it go? Nathan looked at me. You're back, I said. That's an observation. I'm branching out. He set the level on a carton. His hands shook enough to make it rattle. I told them. Claire folded her arms. And? Paul thought I meant a sabbatical. What did Caroline think? I asked. That I was humiliating her. Did she say that? Yes. He took off his glasses and cleaned them with the bottom of his shirt. There were 6 of us in the conference room, he said. Paul, Caroline, the project directors, 2 senior partners. I told them I wanted to transition out after Riverside. Paul asked whether I was sick. Did you say stomach thing? Claire asked. Nathan ignored her. I said I wasn't sick. Caroline said nobody was suggesting I was. Then she suggested we postpone the discussion because I'd had a difficult weekend. That sounds reasonable, I said. It sounded like I was having an episode. Were you? He put his glasses back on. Maybe. I said it anyway. What did the others say? Martin asked whether Caroline was leaving too. Who's Martin? I asked. Not Shelf Martin, Firm Martin. There are too many. Caroline told him she wasn't going anywhere. The three of us stood among cartons of bandages and paper towels. So you quit? Claire asked. I announced my intention to withdraw from the partnership under the terms of our agreement. You sound like a hostage reading a statement. I can't just quit. There are obligations. But you said it, I said. Yes. A small sound came from him, half laugh, half breath. I said it in the room, and she didn't stop me. What happened after? I asked. She asked everyone to leave. Claire pulled a folding stool from beneath the counter. Nathan sat. What did she say? Claire asked. That I'd mistaken unhappiness for courage. That I was punishing the business because she packed the suitcase I demanded. Did you demand it? I asked. I told her I was leaving. That's not a no. He looked at the floor. She asked if I was leaving the marriage too. Claire waited. What did you say? I asked. I said I didn't know. His phone vibrated. He checked it, then handed it to me. A message from Caroline. We will discuss the marriage tonight. Your father's house, 6 o'clock. If you refuse, I'll accept the answer you're too afraid to give. I read it twice and gave the phone back. She didn't ask whether she could come, I said. She never does, Claire replied. Nathan stood. I'm not going. Where? I asked. Back to your house. Why? You saw the message. Yes. You said I didn't have to let her decide. I also said I wouldn't hide you. I'm not hiding. You came to a veterinary clinic. I came to see Claire. Claire raised a hand. I'm not entering that part. Nathan looked at me. Tell her she can't come. No. His face tightened. It's your house. Yes. So, I'll tell her she can't order me to host a conversation. I won't tell her you aren't there. What's the difference? You are. He turned away furious. Claire took the level he had brought and placed it on the shelf I had repaired. The bubble sat perfectly between the lines. You don't have to talk to her at 6, she said. You do have to tell her that yourself. Nathan stared at the bubble. At 5:50, his car and my truck sat openly in my driveway. The three of us waited in the living room. Claire had insisted on coming, then insisted she was not taking sides. Nathan paced. I straightened the brass barometer twice. At exactly 6, Caroline's car stopped at the curb. She came up the walk without an umbrella. The rain had ended hours earlier, but water still shone in the cracks of the pavement. I opened the door before she knocked. Caroline looked past me at Nathan, then at Claire. I asked for a private conversation. No, I said. You announced one. Her eyes returned to mine. You're right, she said. That surprised me enough to step aside. She entered, removed her coat, and folded it over the chair. Then she faced Nathan. If you're leaving the firm, she said, I need to know whether you're leaving me. Nathan looked at me. I did not answer for him. Nathan's eyes stayed on me too long. Caroline noticed. There, she said. That is what I'm talking about. He looked back at her. What? You're waiting for him to tell you what kind of man you are. I'm not. You looked at him before you looked at me. Claire rose from the couch. Maybe Dad and I should go. This is my house, I said. I meant the kitchen. That is also my house. Caroline closed her eyes briefly. Daniel, please. Nathan said, I want them here? Of course you do, she replied. What does that mean? It means you brought a jury. I didn't bring anyone. You came here. And Claire happened to be waiting? Claire picked up her jacket. I'm leaving. Stay, Nathan said. No, I'm not doing this with you. You said you were worried. I am. That doesn't mean I need front row seats. Caroline looked at her. Thank you. Don't thank me. You ordered Dad to host your marriage at 6 o'clock. Caroline's face tightened. Claire came to Nathan and touched his arm. Call me after. He nodded. She leaned toward me. Don't make coffee. I wasn't planning to. You always plan to. She left. Caroline watched the door close. At least one person in this family knows when a conversation doesn't belong to her. That's unfair, Nathan said. Is it? Yes. Why? Because Claire defended your father? Because she didn't defend you? Nathan's breathing quickened. I said, Caroline. She turned. What? This isn't a courtroom. I didn't make it one. Both of you keep offering evidence. What would you prefer? I'd prefer not to be asked for a verdict. I didn't ask you for anything. You called my house, came to my door twice, and told me to send my son home. For the first time, she looked embarrassed. I was frightened, she said. Nathan laughed. You were frightened? Yes. Of what? An unscheduled evening? Of waking up and finding my husband gone. You packed the suitcase. You said you were leaving. I was angry. So was I. You put it outside, and you took it. They stood 6 feet apart, each speaking with the exhausted accuracy of people who had repeated the scene alone. Caroline lowered her voice. I did not think you would go. Nathan looked at her. The sentence seemed to remove something from the room. Why not? He asked. Because you never do. He sat on the edge of the couch. Caroline remained standing. You threaten change when you want me to soften. You say you can't live like this when you want me to apologize. Then morning comes, and you have a meeting, and we continue. So you were teaching me a lesson. No. I was angry enough to take you seriously. You knew I'd come here. Yes, you said it. I did. You knew Dad would let me in. Yes. I felt both of them glance at me. That part's true, I said. Nathan looked betrayed again, but less than before. Caroline folded her hands. You asked me to stop deciding for you. I put your things outside and waited for you to decide whether to pick them up. That's cruel? Yes. Her admission left him with nowhere to put his next sentence. She sat in the chair opposite him. It was cruel. So was letting me believe for 15 years that you wanted the life we built, then announcing in front of our partners that you're leaving it. I told you first. You announced it during a fight. I meant it. I know that now. Nathan rubbed his palms against his trousers. You said there was no self in me worth meeting. I said people wouldn't know what to do with you without us. You said both. Caroline looked away. I wanted to hurt you. You did. I know. She took a slow breath. And you wanted to hurt me, she said. You chose the one thing we built together and called it the reason you couldn't breathe. I can't breathe there. You could until the work stopped flattering you. That isn't fair. You loved the interviews. You loved the awards. You loved walking into a restaurant where people knew our projects. I did. You loved me handling the contracts, the dinners, the staff problems, the clients who needed to be told no. I did. Then one day, you decided everything I was good at had become evidence that I controlled you. Nathan looked toward the window. Tell him about Claire, Caroline said. His head turned back. What? Tell your father how many times I asked whether you wanted to see your sister. You didn't want to see her either. That wasn't the question. I never said it was all you. You let them think it. Nathan's eyes moved toward me, then away. Caroline continued. You complained about every family dinner. You said Claire was angry at the world. You said your father repeated the same stories. Then when we declined, you sent flowers and told everyone I had scheduled something. That's not always what happened. No. Sometimes I scheduled things because you asked me to. I thought of Bellini's, Nathan at a vineyard where everybody knew his name. He stood. You made it easy. I made everything easy. That's the problem. No, Nathan. The problem is you wanted a wife who could carry every unpleasant thing and still look graceful in photographs. And you wanted a husband who never interrupted. I wanted a partner. You wanted agreement. I wanted you to say what you meant before you made me responsible for not understanding it. His face flushed. I tried. When? Last year, when I said I didn't want the Denver project. You told me the travel would be difficult. That was me saying no. That was you asking me to convince you. I said Dayton, after submitting your name in secret, because I knew you'd stop me. How? You would have listed every reason it couldn't work until I heard your voice whenever I thought about it. That is called discussing a decision with your wife. No. Discussion ends when both people have spoken. Caroline stood too. I have heard you, Nathan. I heard you in the conference room this morning. I heard you when you left. I am asking one final question. He looked at her. Are you leaving our marriage? I don't know. That is not an answer. It's the truth. It's an answer that requires me to wait while you discover yourself in your father's guest room. I need time. You have had years. So have you. To do what? To notice I was disappearing. Caroline's mouth opened, then closed. When she spoke, her voice was smaller. I noticed. Nathan's anger faltered. I noticed at the hotel, she said. I noticed when you stopped speaking. I noticed every night you came to bed and lay there pretending to be asleep. I asked if you needed help. You asked if I needed to be fixed. Because you wouldn't tell me what was wrong. I didn't know how. You knew how to tell him. He didn't ask me to have an answer. No, Daniel has never required answers from you. She looked at me. The insult from the phone returned. You make weakness comfortable. Maybe he should have, she said. Maybe, I answered. Nathan turned on me. Whose side are you on? I stood. We're done with that question. You agree with her. I agree you've used my silence. I also agree she has used your fear. Caroline's eyes narrowed. I continued before either could stop me. You learned how to disappear inside her decisions. She learned how to call that partnership. Both of you benefited until Nathan didn't. I'm not qualified to tell you whether that can be repaired. Then why are you talking? Caroline asked. Because you're doing this in my living room. That shut everyone up. I took the coffee tin from the counter, then remembered Claire's instruction and put it back. Nathan watched me. What am I supposed to say? He asked. The thing you'll still mean when nobody's here. He lowered his head. Caroline waited. When he looked up, his face had lost the anger that had carried him through the conversation. I'm not coming home, he said. For how long? I don't know. Tonight? No, not tomorrow either. A week? I don't know. She folded her arms over herself. I need to leave the marriage as it is, he said. Maybe that means the whole marriage. I can't promise it doesn't. Caroline went completely still. That's separation, she said. Yes. He whispered it, but he said it. I watched the word reach her. She nodded once, then again, as if the first had not completed the job. All right, Nathan flinched at the phrase. Caroline picked up her coat. We'll handle the firm professionally, she said. You will not use this family situation to excuse missed work. I won't. You'll collect your personal things from the house when I'm there. Okay. You'll give me notice. Yes. She slid one arm into her coat, missed the sleeve, and tried again. Nathan stepped toward her. Caroline. She held up a hand. No. You don't get to comfort me now. He stopped. She buttoned the coat wrong, noticed, and started over. It was the first clumsy thing I had ever seen her do. At the door, she looked at me. I was cruel to you too, she said. On the phone? For years, yes. I'm not apologizing for seeing what you allowed. I didn't ask you to. Her eyes shone. No, you never ask for anything. That doesn't make it noble. She opened the door. Nathan said her name again. This time, she looked back. I do love you, he said. Caroline's face crumpled for 1 second before she controlled it. I know, she said. That has never been the same as choosing me. She left. Nathan stood at the window until her car disappeared. His shoulders did not move. I remained near the kitchen. Every instinct told me to put a hand on his back, tell him he had done the right thing, promise it would work out. I did none of those things. After a while, he sat on the floor beside the couch. I left my wife, he said. Yes. I thought I'd feel different. How? Lighter. I sat on the floor across from him. My knees objected immediately. You might have to carry it before you can put it down, I said. He looked at me. Hardware store calendar, probably October. His laugh broke in the middle. He covered his face and cried without making much sound. I stayed where I was. When he could speak again, he wiped his eyes on the sleeve of my sweatshirt. Can I stay here? He asked. It was the first time he had asked without attaching a condition. Yes, I said. You can stay. We remained on the floor until my left foot fell asleep. When I tried to stand, my knee made a sound like a branch breaking. Nathan wiped his face. Are you okay? Perfect. That didn't sound perfect. It's an experienced knee. He got up first and offered me his hand. I took it. The room looked ordinary again. Caroline's water glass sat on the coffee table. Her coat had left 2 drops near the door. The brass barometer was crooked. Nathan picked up the glass and carried it to the kitchen. You don't have to clean, I said. I need to do something. He washed the glass, dried it, then washed it again. Claire called at 8. Nathan went upstairs to speak to her. He did not ask me to leave the house or tell her a version. I heard the low sound of his voice through the ceiling, followed once by a laugh that ended quickly. Evelyn called at 9. He told her, she asked. Yes. And? He's staying here. That wasn't what I asked. No, he's not going back. Tonight, for now. She let out a breath. How is Caroline? I don't know. Did anybody ask? Nathan tried. You? She told me she was cruel. That's not an answer either. I know. Daniel, I caught myself. No, I didn't ask how she was. Maybe someone should. Are you volunteering? No, I'm identifying a vacancy. After we hung up, I stood in the kitchen looking at Caroline's clean glass in the rack. I considered calling her. Then I recognized the old impulse. If two people were hurt, I wanted to move between them until neither could see the other clearly. I left the glass where it was. Nathan's stay did not become dramatic after that. It became domestic. His shirts multiplied on the hall tree. His charger migrated from the guest room to the kitchen and then vanished whenever I needed an outlet. He bought bread that expired in the future and threw away 3 jars from my refrigerator after claiming the contents had become self-aware. We argued about the thermostat. 78 is not air conditioning, he said. It's controlled disappointment. You're sweating. I'm glistening. He lowered it to 74. I raised it after he went upstairs. He installed an electronic thermostat while I was at the hardware store. I threatened to remove it with a hammer. Every morning, he dressed for the firm and drove his own car. Every evening, he returned with less certainty and more cardboard boxes. The partnership did not collapse without him. That was one of the first losses. Paul took over Riverside. 2 project directors Nathan had mentored chose to remain with Caroline's team. A longtime client called Nathan privately to say how much he respected him, then added that the company needed continuity and would keep its work with the firm. Nathan sat at my kitchen table after that call, staring at a bowl of soup. They always said they hired us because of me. People say many things before invoices. That's supposed to help. No. The firm's name had never included Nathan's last name. When he and Caroline started, the Vail name already opened doors. Nathan had agreed it sounded stronger. Now every article about their work, every metal sign in the lobby, and every folder in a client's office belonged to a future that could continue without changing stationery. He resented Caroline for that. He resented himself more. Their conversations moved from marriage to logistics because logistics were safer. He went to the house on Thursday to collect clothes and books. He asked me to drive with him. No, I said. Why not? You don't need a witness to pick up socks. I don't know how she'll be. Then call Claire. He frowned. Why would Claire be better? She'd enjoy carrying a lamp while criticizing both of you. He went alone. He returned 3 hours later with 2 boxes and no books. What happened? I asked. We talked. About? Whether the blue chair is mine, the one nobody can sit in? She says she bought it. Let her have it. That isn't the point. What is? He set down the boxes. I don't know. He had started answering honestly so often it was becoming annoying. Was she cruel? I asked. No. Were you? No. Then what happened? He sat on the bottom stair. We were kind to each other. That sounds terrible. It was. He covered his face with both hands. She packed my winter clothes. She put cedar blocks between the sweaters. That sounds like Caroline. She asked if I wanted the good towels. What did you say? That she should keep them. You hate my towels. Your towels remove skin. They dry thoroughly. He lowered his hands. She said she had called a counselor. For herself? Yes. Good. She said I should too. Will you? He looked offended. Why does everybody ask me that? Because you keep answering with a question. He found a counselor the following week. He did not tell me what they discussed, which I considered progress. I went to the movie with Marlene on Tuesday. Before I left, Nathan stood in the living room holding a frozen dinner. How long will you be gone? Movie is 2 hours. French minutes are regular. Marlene says there are subtitles. You hate subtitles. I'm expanding. He looked toward the window. What if Caroline comes? Don't let her in if you don't want to. What if she calls? Answer if you want to. What if... I'm going to a movie. He stopped. All right, he said. Good night. The movie involved a violinist, a vineyard, and several meaningful shots of rain on windows. I slept for only 9 minutes, according to Marlene. Afterward, we ate popcorn in her car because the theater had charged enough for it to qualify as a meal. Is your son still living with you? She asked. Yes. Do you like having him there? The question bothered me. He needs a place. That wasn't what I asked. I'm starting to think you all share notes. Marlene ate a piece of popcorn. You like being needed. That sounds insulting. It isn't. Being needed gives you a job. I had a job for 38 years. You retired from the buses, not the people. He's my son. I know. He showed up frightened. I know that too. I looked through the windshield at couples leaving the theater. What am I supposed to do? Tell him to leave? No. You're supposed to notice when helping him lets you avoid your own life. She held out the popcorn. I took some. This is stale. You missed the fresh part. The next Saturday, Nathan went to Claire's clinic with the level. He returned after 6 carrying takeout from Bellini's. Claire says you like the chicken piccata, he said. I do. She ordered it. Why? Because we had dinner. At Bellini's, at the clinic. We ate in the supply room. I looked inside the bag. You fixed the shelf. It wasn't backward. I told you. It was facing backward, but the bracket was installed for that orientation. Sounds backward. He smiled. Claire said you'd say that. Their repair did not happen in one conversation. Nathan started showing up. He fixed the shelf, then measured a cabinet Claire wanted moved. He came back the next week with a drawing that created more storage without moving it. She criticized the drawer pulls. He changed them. She invited him for coffee, then spent 20 minutes complaining about people who confused an apology with a personality transplant. He kept going. He met Evelyn for breakfast. When he came home, he carried a foil-wrapped piece of pie. Your mother sent this, he said. What kind? Apple. Did she say anything? She said you'd ask what kind before asking how she was. I put the pie on the counter. How is she? Too late. He ate half of it before I found a fork. Dayton invited him to present his ideas. He spent 3 nights at the maple table preparing. No ballroom, no model under lights, just drawings, photographs of the old building, and a list of questions about how people actually use the space. Don't call it a skills lab, I told him. They liked skills lab. Cowards. He included the workshop anyway. The committee did not offer him the entire project. They offered a consulting role while they evaluated whether his new practice could handle the scope. Nathan came home disappointed for 7 minutes, then realized he had a new practice. What's it called? I asked. I don't know. Good name. I'm serious. Mercer Architecture. That's boring. Mercer Buildings. Worse. Structures by Nate. He threw a pencil at me. He rented a small office above a printing shop. The windows rattled whenever trucks passed, and the carpet had squares in 3 different shades of gray. He bought 2 used drafting tables and 1 chair that leaned left. The first week, no clients called. The second week, 1 former client invited him to bid on a small renovation, then selected the larger firm. Nathan stopped checking his phone during dinner because there was nothing on it to check. By the 3rd week, Dayton asked him to expand his consulting work. It was not enough to replace his old income or his old title. It was enough to keep drawing. He signed a lease on an apartment in a brick building above a bakery. The place had 2 bedrooms, narrow windows, and a kitchen table left by the previous tenant. It was not a glass house. Nobody had arranged the visual balance. I helped him move on a Sunday. Claire carried lamps. Evelyn brought cleaning supplies and refused to discuss whether that counted as helping. Marlene arrived with sandwiches and introduced herself to everyone before I could decide how. You're the trumpet woman, Claire said. Marlene looked at me. What have you told them? Very little. That sounds like him, Evelyn said. For one afternoon, the people I had kept in separate rooms occupied the same apartment. Nobody fought. Nobody forgave everything. Evelyn and Marlene discussed stain remover. Claire told Nathan his couch looked like a dental office. Nathan placed the old backyard photograph on a shelf despite the crooked glass. When the last box was inside, he handed me the spare key. For emergencies, he said. I'm not watering anything. I don't own plants. Smart. He looked around the apartment. His face held pride and fear in almost equal amounts. You okay? I asked. No, good start. He laughed. Back at my house, the guest room looked larger and worse. Empty hangers remained in the closet. The electronic thermostat glowed 74 from the hallway. His suitcase sat at the foot of the bed. I called him. You forgot something. What? The suitcase. A pause. I don't want it. It's luggage, not a curse. Keep it. I don't need it. Throw it away. You don't throw away a good suitcase. Then use it. I'm not going anywhere. The sentence came out before I considered it. Nathan was quiet. Maybe you should, he said. After we hung up, I stood in the guest room, looking at the suitcase that had arrived before dawn and stayed longer than my son. I put it in the closet but did not close the door. I closed the closet door the next morning. Then I opened it again because the suitcase wheel kept catching underneath. The guest room no longer looked occupied, but but it did not look restored either. Nathan had left a coffee ring on the dresser and 2 pencil shavings beside the lamp. The sewing tin was still in my bedroom. I considered moving everything back, then decided a room could survive not knowing what it was for. The electronic thermostat remained. I lowered it to 73 and waited for Nathan to call. He did not. The house had been quiet before he arrived, but quiet changes after someone leaves. Before, the refrigerator humming was just the refrigerator. Now, it sounded like an appliance with poor timing. I made 1 grilled cheese sandwich and nearly burned it, because nobody was standing behind me explaining heat distribution. That evening, Nathan called. "How's the thermostat?" he asked. "Broken? What happened?" "It says 73. That's how temperature works." I preferred the dial. It had mystery. "You asked me to install it. I threatened you with a hammer. That was your way of participating." I heard traffic outside his apartment. Then a door closed and the sound disappeared. "How was the office?" I asked. "Quiet." "Good for concentration, bad for business." "Any calls?" "2. That's something. One was a printer salesman. The other was you. I didn't call your office. You left a message asking whether I took your tape measure. You did. It was in the truck. Which you took. Are we still discussing that?" "Until the truck dies." He laughed. We spoke for 15 minutes without discussing Caroline, which meant both of us were thinking about her. Finally, he said, "We met with the counselor." "How did that go?" "She asked what we wanted." "Sounds invasive." "Caroline said she wanted clarity." "What did you say?" "That I wanted to stop being afraid of disappointing her." "And?" "Caroline said she wanted to stop being punished for being the only one willing to disappoint me." I sat at the kitchen table. "Both sound true," I said. "That's what the counselor said. I could have saved you money. You would have made eggs. Eggs are extra. They went back 4 times. Nathan never told me much, and I stopped asking for reports. On the 5th appointment, they decided not to keep trying to repair the marriage while both of them were still using repair as another way to win. Caroline remained in the glass house. Nathan remained above the bakery, where the smell of cinnamon rolls entered his bedroom at 5 every morning and made sleep either impossible or delicious. Their separation did not turn their friends into philosophers. It turned them into schedulers. The Barlows invited Caroline to dinner. Another couple invited Nathan for drinks, then spent the evening asking whether Caroline was seeing anyone. 3 people told him they loved them both, and then stopped calling either one. He complained about it over soup. "They picked her because she kept the house," he said. "They may also like her." He looked offended. "I'm not saying they dislike you. You're thinking it? I'm thinking the Barlows own chairs nobody can sit in. This may be freedom." He stirred his soup. "She told them I left her. You did." "That isn't the whole story. It is a complete sentence." He stared at me, then nodded reluctantly. The firm removed Nathan from its new promotional photographs. It was not revenge. He no longer worked there. Still, the first time he saw an advertisement with Caroline standing between Paul and Firm Martin, he drove to my house and placed the magazine on the table like evidence. They used my building behind them, the firm's building. I designed it, I know. Her caption says, "The team that reimagined the city skyline." Did they? With my work. You want me to call the magazine? No? Good. I don't subscribe. He sat with the anger until it stopped requiring an audience. Dayton gave him more work. Then a local nonprofit asked him to look at converting an old warehouse into offices and meeting rooms. The fee would not have paid for one of the rugs in his former house. But he brought the plans to Sunday dinner and talked for an hour about windows. I listened until the potatoes went cold. Claire listened too, though she interrupted twice to tell him his proposed reception area looked like a place where people would be denied a loan. Their relationship rebuilt through irritation. Nathan designed new storage for her clinic. Claire paid him despite his attempt to refuse. He deposited the check despite her attempt to make it insulting. When one of his first clients canceled a meeting without explanation, Claire brought coffee to his office and criticized the leaning chair. He replaced it. My relationship with Claire rebuilt more slowly because I had farther to go. I helped at the clinic when she asked, not when guilt chose the hour. If I already had plans, I told her. If Nathan called while I was with her, I let the phone ring. The first time she stopped speaking and watched it buzz on the table. "You can answer," she said. "I can call him back." "What if he needs something? Then he'll still need it in 20 minutes. She looked down at her coffee. "Is this a demonstration?" she asked. "No." "Good. I hate demonstrations." I called him back 22 minutes later. He needed to know whether I owned a socket wrench. He survived. Evelyn and I spoke occasionally. We did not become friends in the sentimental way people expect after enough years have passed. We became two people able to finish certain old conversations without pretending they led somewhere new. Once, she came by to collect the sewing tin. I wondered where that went, she said. It was in the guest room. Why? You left it. I left you an entire house. The tin was not the valuable part. She opened it and examined the thread. Then her gaze moved to my wrist. You stopped wearing the watch. Yes. Does Nathan know? No. Are you trying to punish him? No. Then tell him. I will. She closed the tin. Complete sentences, Daniel. I remember. Marlene and I took a weekend trip to Cincinnati. I packed my clothes in an old canvas duffel because the suitcase still felt like it belonged to a storm. Marlene looked at the duffel and said, Are we traveling or escaping a gym? It has handles. So does a coffin. At the hotel, she hung her clothes in the closet and put mine there too, because I had planned to live from the bag for 2 days. We ate dinner at a place with uncomfortable chairs. I sent Nathan a photograph. He replied, Caroline would approve. Then, a minute later, Sorry. Cheap joke. I wrote, It was funny. That would once have been enough to erase the discomfort. Instead, I added, It also hurt a little. The dots appeared and disappeared twice. I know, he wrote. I'm sorry. I believed him. Nathan and Caroline reached the point where neither called their separation temporary. They divided furniture without a war. Caroline kept the blue chair. Nathan took the kitchen knives, even though he cooked almost nothing. He gave her the travel iron. She packed it for me, he said. It seemed rude to keep it. They met for coffee once after the papers from the firm were finished. Nathan came to my house afterward but did not stay long. She looks good, he said. She usually does. She asked about Dayton. What did you say? That it's going well. Was that true? Parts of it. He stood at the front window with his hands in his coat pockets. She apologized for saying there was no self in me worth meeting. That's something. I apologized for making her the author of every choice I regretted. That's also something. It didn't change anything. Maybe it changed the sentence. He turned. You and Mom really are talking. Not as much as you think. He left before dinner. He had drawings to finish. The suitcase stayed in the closet. I saw it whenever I got extra sheets or looked for a light bulb. Sometimes I considered throwing it out. Then I remembered the old luggage tag with Caroline's handwriting and the framed photograph she had packed face down. The suitcase had not caused anything. It had merely carried what people put inside. I took it out on a Sunday. Claire was coming for dinner at 2. Nathan said he would be there, but at 1:40 he called to say a Dayton meeting had run late. How late? I asked. Maybe 30 minutes. The roast is ready. Can you hold it? No. A pause. Okay, he said. Okay? Start without me. Claire arrived at 2, carrying green beans and suspicion. Where's Nathan? Late. Are we waiting? No. She set the dish down carefully. Are you ill? We ate at 2:10. Claire took the end slice of roast Nathan liked. I did not save it. He arrived at 2:38 with his hair windblown and a paper box from the bakery under his arm. I'm sorry, he said before removing his coat. The mechanical consultant kept changing the duct route, and I should have left earlier. You should have, Claire said. I brought pie. What kind? I asked. They both looked at me. Apple, Nathan said. Good. He made himself a plate and ate the roast slightly dry. Nobody reheated the gravy. Nobody explained his lateness to anyone else. After dinner, Claire stood at the sink beside him while he washed dishes. You missed a decent end piece, she said. I noticed. I considered saving it. No, you didn't. No. He handed her a plate to dry. Fair. She left before 4 because she had promised to meet someone for coffee. She gave me a quick hug at the door and told Nathan not to vanish for 3 weeks just because he had apologized once. I've called you twice this week, he said. Maintain the pace. When her car had gone, Nathan returned to the kitchen. I should head out too. Wait, I went upstairs. The suitcase sat on the guest room bed where I had placed it that morning. I opened the top drawer of my dresser and removed the silver watch. It was still running. Nathan had bought a good one. I laid it inside the suitcase and closed both latches. He was standing beside the front door when I carried it down. His face changed when he saw it. I told you I don't want that. It's yours. No, it isn't. The tag says otherwise. Caroline wrote the tag. The watch is inside. He looked at me, then set the suitcase flat and opened it. The watch lay alone against the dark lining. Nathan did not touch it. Why are you giving this back? You gave it to me after your birthday. I know. It arrived in a box the next morning. No note. His eyes remained on the watch. I thought it was an apology, I said. So I wore it. It was an apology. No, it was payment. That's not what I meant. I know. He looked up, waiting for the phrase that used to pardon intent before impact had been allowed to speak. I did not say it. Nathan sat on the bottom stair. The open suitcase rested between his shoes. I wanted to call you that night, he said. Why didn't you? Caroline said the dinner had already started. She said calling would make it awkward. And what did you say? That I'd send something. Did you want me there? Yes. But you let her remove me. Yes. The answer hurt more without resistance. She said you would talk too long, and Marlene didn't fit the table, and her friends wouldn't know how to talk to you. Nathan swallowed. I agreed because I didn't want to spend my birthday managing whether everyone was comfortable. Then I let you think it was all her. I sat across from him on the edge of the chair. It hurt, I said. His eyes filled. It hurt to be left out. It hurt that you let someone describe me as an inconvenience and then sent me a watch expensive enough to make my anger look ungrateful. I'm sorry. I wore it because that was easier than telling you. I know. No, I said. You know now. He nodded. I'm sorry for Bellini's, he said. I'm sorry for making Claire smaller because she was easier to disappoint. I'm sorry for letting Caroline carry every no, so I could still sound like the son who wanted to come. I waited. And I'm sorry I came here at 4 a.m. expecting you to hide me from the choice I'd already made. The old house settled around us. A pipe clicked somewhere behind the wall. I used you, he said. I knew you'd open the door. I knew you wouldn't ask for anything back. You were frightened. I was. I still used you. Both things stayed true in the room. I picked up the watch and held it out. He took it. I don't want payment for what we failed to say, I told him. He closed his hand around it. What do I do with it? That's your decision. He laughed through his tears. You really like that answer now. It has saved me considerable time. He placed the watch in his coat pocket and latched the suitcase. At the door, he hugged me, not quickly, not as an apology. When he stepped onto the porch, the afternoon was clear and cold. He put the suitcase into his car, then came back up the walk because he had forgotten the bakery box. I handed it to him. Wednesday? He asked. I'm seeing Marlene. Thursday? Claire needs help moving a cabinet. He smiled. Friday? Friday works. He walked back to his car carrying the pie. This time, when my successful son left with one suitcase, neither of us was hiding where he was going.